Hey, welcome to the upgrade. My name is Gary Muttley. He is
Len Carmichael, Landmine Studios.
What's up, Len?
Everything and nothing at the same time. It's just wash, rinse, repeat. You know, I'm watching the news. I'm fooling around in the studio. I'm working with some friends on some projects, and every day is basically Groundhog's Day. Just get up, take a shower, and try and figure out what fresh hell I'm going to get into for the day. How about you? What's going on?
Same old shit. I mean, we got a break last week because we instituted our little no current events rule. So you know, the anger level got a little break last week when we just talked about music. So we didn't have to worry about that. But we can only escape that for so long.
Yep.
Yeah, only for so long. But today I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. I mean, obviously, if we end up getting into it, that's cool. But we have a guest on the show today, and he's a good friend of mine, Chris Robert. He is a chef, a former singer for a band, currently a rapper. You know, he's a man of many trades. Chris, why don't you introduce yourself? Why don't you introduce yourself to everyone else? Tell us about yourself.
Chris, I am currently doing some hip hop shit. Going to the name Franklin. Work with a friend of mine. His name is Max Miller, aka Corey. The real name, but I don't know. Really, what do you want to know? I've been a chef for about 17 years. Been doing this game for too long. Been doing hardcore since I can't remember anymore because, you know, fucking like we said, that doesn't exist. And, well, the hip hop thing I've always been doing side-wise, but now at this age, I've stopped wanting to count on 4 people to show or 3 people to show up to practice. So, you know, it's time to venture off on my own.
I feel you. So
and you said you were singing for Time Spent. Were there any other bands that you were in going back?
I was in another band called DWYS, or Dead Where You Stand, for a little bit. Len actually helped us out with some of that a while ago. You helped us mix that record a while back. Len's always been involved in some type of mixing or mastering.
Did I mix it or did I just master it? I don't even remember.
Pretty sure you might have just mastered it.
I think I just mastered it.
Yeah, because I think Joey just sent you over the files or whatever the hell that was. But, yeah, it was like more of a metalcore band back then. A long time before that, there was punk and bands. I can't even fucking tell you the list right now. It's too long. So we'll stay with the last couple.
So just like we say, you know, can't retain stuff like we used to. We're all getting up there and forgetting shit.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Once I hit 35, it all feels like shit when you wake up.
I want to get into the cooking thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me ask you this. What was it about cooking that made you decide that that's what you wanted to do to actually make money? Like, being a chef, being a cook in general is a tough profession, and being stuck in a hot, somewhat dirty kitchen area. I mean, like, I'm not under any pretense that kitchens are clean. I mean, obviously you clean up at the end of the night, but as you're working through the day, it's a crapshoot whether everything is perfect or not. I get it, but what made you want to go that route?
If you want the real truth, I didn't know how to do anything else. That was my one skill. When I was a kid, I had a stepfather. His mother was straight from Naples, Italy. So when I was about 7 or 8, my stepfather's mother saw that I had an interest and was looking over the stove, and she grabbed me one day, and pretty much it was a takeoff for like a love of being a fat kid and cooking.
I know all about being a fat kid, so.
And pretty much from there, I started working in kitchens. I think when I was about 14, I started as a registered person in a fucking deli. And then one day, like typical cooks that move up in line, a prep cook called out downstairs, and they said, "Can you cut things?" And I said, "Sure."
Sure.
And that was pretty much history. Yeah, and that was pretty much history back then. I go from, mom and pop delis, restaurants to high-end platescapes and all that stuff. I used to work for Sheraton hotels. I used to be head chef over there with multiple up and down the East Coast. And I went from private restaurants as well, doing high-end, more high-end stuff with all your garde manger and plates and all that shit. But
so what do you prefer to cook?
I prefer, if we're talking about, what are you talking about? Like region, or are you talking about just what I prefer in general?
Just prefer. Like if you were to sit down, if let's say you were going to open a restaurant that was Chris's restaurant, fuck the name, just it's Chris's spot. Yeah. What are you cooking in there?
I am going to cook. I've been doing it for a while, but it's a mixture of one of my two favorite types of food, island Spanish food, which is Puerto Rican, Dominican Spanish food, and then also a mix of Creole intertwined with it. So it's using Creole, African French spices, along with doing, the slow pork fat wrapped in banana leaves, these old world beautiful things that make meat so delicious and other things so delicious. You incorporate that into the Creole cooking.
And like most of those, the reason why they use those methods is because they were typically getting less choice cuts of meat, so they had to find ways to make them more tender and flavorful than what maybe the rich people were able to have.
Exactly.
That's my idea of how it ended up there.
To me, you're not a chef unless you can take the cheapest cut of whatever, whether it be a vegetable, piece of meat, whatever, and how tough it is, whatever, and make it into something very good. Like if you can't make that into something delicious off the cheapest cut of meat, because that's pretty much all the premise of culinary. People eat tripe now. That's poor people's food. Fucking, what is it? Chitlins was poor people's food. That's now coming up on the fucking weird shit on like Top Chef and shit. Like all this poor people food was originally, for the poor people, it's cheap cuts. And now chefs are discovering ways to use that, save money, charge more. And sometimes, I hate to say it, they rip it right from the culture's hands without paying any homage.
Well, I mean, that's typical for damn near everything.
Yeah, this is also true.
I mean, if you want to extrapolate that across even music per se, you could keep going back and back and back, and poor people, black people are creating music, and then it's just taken and run with. But it doesn't, and you could only go back to the 80s, late 70s, 80s, and look at rap, and then currently most people that see rap on TV at least had their hands in by the general white public.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rap has now become a mainstream commodity, but it's no longer. Well, the mainstream shit is not good anyway. But when has that been the top choice of anything? To be honest, besides like maybe the early to mid 90s, when the radio was, in my opinion, some of the best stuff on the radio in general.
I mean, that's where I grew up. Like that's me and Gary were in that range where we're either in high school or getting out of high school right when that shit was popping. And that's what I look at as the crown jewel of when things were like best.
Oh yeah,
at least in my opinion.
Without a doubt.
And we all have like our bias because that was our era growing up in, and that was our way of seeing the world at that certain point in time. But to be honest, I wasn't in that era. I was a little bit after that era.
Right, you're a little bit younger than us.
Between the era of, I know between 88 and, to me, some people cut it earlier, but like 88 to like 2003 to me was some of the best pinnacles of music in general. Okay. Maybe even awful, but like there was all sorts of it though. You had to seek it out. I'm one of those type of people. I'm obsessive about things. I go into music, I dig and find the smallest band from Ohio that had the most original sound from fucking 2000 And then I find, at the same time, I do it with like culinary. If I want like the original, like say I'm cooking Mexican food and I got cochinita pibil, I go find out what banana leaf from what sector of the world they were using, what sea salt, all this shit. It all makes a difference in the end. That's why you can't get New York pizza in Philadelphia. And it's only a fucking small span.
Let's talk about that for a minute. New York pizza is all right, but New Jersey pizza is better, in my opinion. I've had a lot of New York pizza. I've had a lot of New Jersey pizza. They're close. They are close in range. I prefer New Jersey pizza. I'll stand and die on that hill because it's an okay hill to die on. But after you get outside of New Jersey and New York, fuck your pizza.
Sketchy.
It's not good. It's not good.
I'll say there's parts of Connecticut too, though. Connecticut has some good pizza.
But those parts of Connecticut are just New York.
Yeah, that's pretty much true. Yeah,
mostly. I mean, Len, I'll take you to a couple places here in the Bronx, and then let's see what you have to say about that.
All right. Well, you got to come down here and have some pizza here.
And I will say,
South Bronx and get him some sancocho or some shit. Get him really.
And I will say there are some other places that you can go. One time I was in Orlando, Florida, and we got taken to this pizza place, and then we took the pizza, we went upstairs, and there was a huge 9/11 memorial on the wall, and we were like, all right, we're good.
Yeah, well, because the dude just transferred.
Exactly.
That's all.
Exactly.
He's still in New York.
I had a guy like that when I lived in Tampa, too. I had a guy like that down there, too. I met him, and he was from Newark. And he's like, yeah, I just moved down here 5 years ago. I was like, good, I'm coming to you.
Yeah, but the only question I have about those, are they shipping in the water? Because the water is what makes the difference.
There are places that definitely do that.
Yeah.
Mineral content. It's actually
I know there's like a spot out in California. They ship the water basically daily out there.
Whose spot that was that made them ship the water? Aaron from Death Threat. He was one of the first people to go over to California, and he was like, he's like, the water out here ain't making good dough. Ship that shit over. And he had fucking like hundreds of gallons of water shipped over.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it makes a difference. But that's the reason why I don't fuck with bagels outside of Brooklyn, outside of New York. You can't get a good bagel. There are none in New Jersey. I'm sorry.
There's a handful of bagel places that do that shit, too, where they bring the water.
Yeah, I can show you some.
I don't know, man. I've been all over New Jersey, and I'm like never impressed.
I was also in Perth Amboy, which is literally you could spit on Staten Island. So friggin', I had spots over there.
Well, you're getting the same general water source.
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of lucky with that.
I'm talking about down in my part of New Jersey.
Oh yeah,
I'm talking about.
You ain't gonna get it in trend and all that shit now.
There's no
Pizza, two of my favorite pizza spots, is there.
But that's the key, though. That's the key to that pizza is that ours is different than New York. Straight up, it's not the same type of pizza.
Oh, it's not the same thing. But
we're making tomato pie. It's totally different. But the water source and the way that this dough is made and cultivated is a totally different source. So, yeah, 100%. It makes a big difference as to where you're getting your quote-unquote ingredients.
Always. And the Italians really believe in that, too. And that was one of the first lessons I was taught. Italian cooking at its root, real Italian cooking, not this sauce and cheese shit we see in the United States, which, don't get me wrong, I love the veal parms and the chicken parms and all that shit. I love a good sauce and cheese-coated shit, just like any other red-blooded American does.
Well,
but
I'm fat, so I like it.
Yeah, exactly. Sauce and cheese is perfect over any vessel.
Yeah.
But the Italian way of cooking was 5 or 6 ingredients, but the freshest, most ripe, delicious ingredients. That was their deal. Don't do any more than that. Let the ingredient shine on its own. Just accent with other and shit.
Gary, when you guys went to Europe, did you guys go to Italy?
No, we never went to Italy. We ate at an Italian place in London, but that's as far as we got.
Okay.
Food in general, when you get out of the United States, you can taste the difference just because they don't show the same chemicals that we eat.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just go to Canada. Yeah,
exactly. I said that to somebody, too. I was like, go to fucking Canada. Hell, go to Vermont. It's right at Canada. They'll serve you the same thing Canadians are eating, and you'll be like, "Why does this taste different?"
It definitely tastes better. While I was in Italy like 3 or 4 years ago, and we hit a couple spots while I was there, and honestly, some of the absolute best pasta I've ever had. And I'm like thinking to myself, what is in this? And it's literally almost nothing. It's just, noodle, tomato, olive oil, and some spices. And I mean, it blew my mind. And you can't get that shit here. It just is different. It's not bad.
Yeah.
But
it's not bad at all. But like, take it from the girl. What's her name? Not girl. She's a woman. But her name's Christina. She runs South Philly Barbacoa. I don't know if you heard of them.
I mean, but, I've seen the place. I've never eaten
this
there.
Woman got top 5 in like World Bon Appetit magazine because of tortillas and barbacoa. That was it.
No, we lost Gary. We're down Gary.
Shit.
Got bumped out. Oh, he's back.
He's back.
Skype was bugging out, but now suddenly both of you are popping up on camera.
Whoop, whoop.
Oh,
Go figure.
But was it like I was saying? Where were we, Len?
Oh, you were talking about South Philly Barbacoa.
Oh yeah, South Philly Barbacoa. She just literally ball barbacoa as well. You marinate the lamb in citrus, sea salt, and a few other things, but it's the cooking technique. She literally goes out in the pit, clay pit, buries this fucking leg of lamb.
Wait, she built a clay pit in Philadelphia?
Yep.
Nice.
But take it a step further. Why she is that much of an actual chef to me, more than just a taqueria. This woman had her daughter who lives in her hometown. Mind you, this woman is also still an illegal, undocumented immigrant, and her husband owns the business here.
Okay.
And she's in top all these magazines and shit, which I love, is just to boot up the ass of every fucking idiot. But because that's how, listen, one side note, if I could teach you anything, if you're in the culinary industry and you're racist, you better get out, because you'll get stabbed real quick in a fucking kitchen. We don't play like that.
Yeah, it's not. That's not the place to be.
Nah. No. But anyway, beyond that, she had her daughter mail her the corn from her hometown. Went out to Lancaster to some open land from a farmer. Said, "Plant this for me. I'll pay you, and don't add anything to it but water and sunlight." Literally got the same corn from her hometown, grounds it, makes her own masa into her own tortillas and everything like that, bro. Wow. It is the most flavorful tortilla I have ever had in my fucking life. And this is just a tortilla.
So what you're saying is you're going to come down and take me on a mandate when this shit is open.
No, let's make a podcast mandate. We'll go to the South. We'll go to Bronx, and then we'll come out to Philly, and we'll do it. Make it a chef fucking theme shit.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Listen, I mean, Joe and Richie are doing their thing from a restaurant, aren't they? So we could do the same thing.
Yeah.
Why not?
I'll send you to a new restaurant.
Just sit there and stuff and just.
I would just be like, I can't even talk right now. Food's too good. Food's too good.
Oh my god.
That's when you know. But that's when you know the food is good, is when the whole place is silent.
Right, shuts up. Yeah.
Everybody's just shoving food because the food is so good you can't talk.
Oh, that's the main goal you want in a dining room, even when it's busy as fuck, and you listen. You get like a slow whisper, like a dull whisper, and everybody else quiet. You're like,
yeah, because they're eating and they're happy.
They're eating, or they got the itis, and they're just sitting there.
They're dead.
Yo, my favorite thing is when I'm cooking food, and somebody eats it, and you can physically see them start dancing. Because you know that dance you do when you're like, oh shit, that it was good.
Listen, when I cook something, you've seen that off of me when you gave me that mac and cheese, that poblano mac and cheese, and that brisket that one time too.
Gary, I made poblano, bacon, mac and cheese. So what I did, I made the bacon first, and then I used the bacon fat to make the roux for the mac and cheese.
That's how you
do it. Then I take the bacon and I put it in the food processor and blend it up so it's basically just dust, just bacon dust. And then I make the roux, and then there's like 4 cheeses, maybe 5 cheeses, and I'm going ham on making this thing, and then I also slow roasted the poblanos, scraped the skin off, and then put them in with the bacon dust and blended that up, so that it was just like bacon poblano jam, and then I put that in the roux before I put the cheese and the milk and all that shit in. So it was just building flavor on flavor on flavor, and it just tasted like a pig hopped in a vat of poblano peppers and then fucked your mouth with cheese.
This is why we're friends. This is why we're friends.
Yeah,
you had that turkey. That's when we became real friends, when I gave you that turkey for the first time.
Dude, that was some gangster turkey, bro.
You ain't never gonna have a turkey like I have, man.
I don't know, man. I've been making some good turkeys because I've been using my smoke, because I got a smoker in my backyard, and I brine that bitch, and I mean like 2-3 day brine, just chilling. Like,
now, do you put any flavor in your brine?
Of course.
Okay, good. Good.
I go deep citrus on my brine, but it's sugar, salt, and then all the citrus that I can find at the grocery store, plus 2 bay leaves, maybe 3, depending on the size of the turkey, and then rosemary, thyme, and like a couple other things. And I boil that, chill it, and freeze it with not freeze it, but just drop the big vat of ice in it and cool it down, drop that sucker in there, and just let him chill.
How to cook?
Huh?
Who taught me how to cook?
Me. I will research anything. If I want to know how to do it, I'm looking it up.
Like you're talking chef secrets and like some of the shit that you're talking about. Like, it's not like normal people know this shit. Like,
well, I'm not normal. Like, all right, you gotta imagine.
Once again, why we your boys?
You gotta imagine. I went to a recording studio. This is the first time I went to a recording studio on my own that wasn't with my uncle, where we were going to like the one in East Orange where Fuji's record and etc. Like, when I'm not going with him, the first time I go is when my first band recorded, and the guy's telling me to meet him at this location, and I pull up and I'm like, there's no fucking studio here. What are you talking about? And it's, I don't know, it's like year 2000, and the dude's like, yeah, it's right here, and it's in his basement. And I walk in, and this dude is basically got green like AstroTurf on the floor, has a makeshift wall put up, and he's got a computer and 8 inputs. And I'm like, this ain't no fucking studio. What are you talking about? 'Cause in my mind, anytime you say you're going to the studio, you're going to some like high-end spot. So literally the next day I got out of there and I went and bought a new computer, and I bought a mixer, 10 mics, cords, and I just started recording. That, like, I was like, oh, if you can do this on a computer, I can figure out how to do it myself. And now, 20 years later, I have a commercial studio. I do lots of work for like random things, but it's all because I wanted to do it. So that goes back to the thing of understanding chef secrets. I have researched more than enough to understand what it is I'm supposed to do so that I can eat the way I want to.
It's a self-taught plan.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing you can do is do it yourself. And if you do it yourself and you go somewhere and the food sucks, you know why the food sucks.
Exactly. I tell people all the time, 90% of the time you could probably cook that shit better than the motherfucker there. Like, everybody goes out there like, why is steak so much different in a steakhouse? I'm like, butter. Lots of fucking clarified butter. They fucking pour it the fuck on top. They soak the motherfucker in it. And then they add a little bit more salt to the top of it. And they say, die, fatty, die. And then they serve it to you. And you're like, oh, shit, this is awesome.
So I have been, since we've been home on this Corona bullshit, I have taken the time to really dig into 2 techniques that I had machines for years and never used them. So one is the pressure cooker, and 2 is the sous vide machine.
Oh, that's my favorite fucking thing.
Yeah. steak in a sous vide machine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
best thing ever. Best fucking
Gary,
thing ever.
Hear me out, bro. Hear me out. This is the best $200 you'll ever spend getting a high-end sous vide machine. All it does is you take like a vat of water. Doesn't matter what you put it in. It could be like a stock pot. You could do it in like one of those coolers, like one of the like styrofoam coolers. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Like this motherfucker will keep the water at the temperature you decide. So then you're like, all right, well I got this, 1 pound steak, and I want it to be exactly medium. Exactly medium. So then you figure out what the temperature is, and then you set the temperature to like 3 to 5 degrees below that, so that when you take it out of and it'll cook for 2 hours, it could sit there for 6 hours, and it will never overcook on you. So then you season it and you suction the air out so that it sucks all that goodness into the meat, and then you dip that bitch in the fucking water and let it sit there. And it just cooks. And then when you're ready to plate, all you do is you take it out. You already have your pan hot, and you sear both sides. And by the time you're done searing, you've hit the perfect temperature. It hits the plate, and when you cut it, it is perfect straight through, and it is beautiful and delicious. I cannot say anything better about a sous vide machine. So yes, I do know some secrets.
Just a few,
obviously.
And if either of you, well, I mean, Chris, you've had my food, but Gary, if you ever come by, I will cook some food for you, and you will be like, "Damn, I didn't know you had it like that, son."
Yeah, now legit, like as a professional chef, Len can cook his ass off. Like if he was like straight up, if he was like, "Yo, I'm a chef on the side, I do like catering," I'd be like, "I believe you."
The man has many talents.
I mean, I think we all do in this shit, to be honest. Most people I've ever been friends with out of music or some shit, like I guess artistry goes throughout food, music, and whatever else you fucking into.
Gary, do you got any culinary secrets?
No.
None?
I'm not remotely a chef at all. I'm terrible with it.
I think
I got my air fryer, and
I just got an air fryer recently.
Listen, it is convenient as fuck. I'll say that.
Yeah, I haven't figured out one thing that's good in the damn thing. Like, I got it, and I thought. I'm not saying
cook, but don't cook in that. I'm saying just it's convenient for when you need like fucking reheated French fries and fucking chicken nuggets and shit, like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not cooking up some real shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I got it for. It was like, I got frozen French fries and frozen chicken in the freezer and whatever, like, breaded chicken, whatever. Yeah. So I made a deal with the local butcher, but it's not just like your regular butcher. They're called Dutch's Meats, and they supply all the restaurants in Trenton and Ewing and Hamilton, etc. They are legitimately less than 1 mile from my house. So I went over there. I was like, "Can I just buy from you direct?" And he's like, "Sure." And I made my own little account. And now when I want food, I'm like, "Hey, I'd like to have 10 pounds of ground beef. I want 10 pounds of chicken." And you go and, he's separating this meat and setting it aside for you. And it's restaurant quality. So nice. I'm like, I can't go wrong here. No. So I asked him, I was like, "Yo, do you do chicken tenders?" And he was like, "Oh, I'll get you the ones that go to the restaurant." So then I got a bag of these things and I put them in the air fryer. It is not a fucking fryer. I don't know. This shit doesn't fry anything.
Len, you want me to be honest about it?
Yeah.
And this is coming from a white dude. That's like the Karen of fryers. So, you're going to get a little crispy and it's going to be a little nice, but
I can't even get it crispy.
Listen, you're never going to want to put an empanada in there. You never want to go put like something that's worth your time in there to fucking make. It's good for quick fried chicken breast, frozen fucking already breaded fried shit, and that's the extent of it.
Yeah, that's all I'm putting in it. I'm not putting anything
it's
like
good, it's
handmade
good for
in
the
it.
simple shit.
If I hand make something, I got an actual fryer for that.
No,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
not.
I wanted
I
something
use the
quick.
cast iron. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I'm not a dude that hand makes a lot of shit. So for me, like,
It's easy.
I'll throw
for
it in
me.
there. It's easy. Like, I'm not making a big product. You know, listen, I live alone. It's not like I'm making a big production like for the family or something. So a lot of the times I'm just throwing some shit in and done with it. Like, I'm not spending a lot of time on it. But
I'm telling you, I was
if
late
I was
to this
cooking
meeting.
real shit,
I was
you
late
know?
to this meeting tonight because I was making tikka masala on my own, and I'm like, I need to eat this before, because it's delicious, but it's never as good the second day. So I was like trying to eat all. Unlike Italian food, where Italian food tastes better the second day, Indian food does not taste better to me the second day. It tastes best fresh.
I could agree with that. Yeah,
I
because
just got into it, though.
the difference is sauce,
Right.
and their way of starting things is with straight spices, and then you add the liquid. So it's a different formula.
Yep.
Whereas you're adding liquid and then spice, you're adding spice then liquid. You're toasting things and making them char. So the flavor needs to be fresh. Unlike when you're putting liquid and then spice, you need to have it like marry with the liquid even longer. That's why always fucking sauce is great the next day. Always better. And any restaurant that serves you marinara has at least been in their fridge for 24 to 48 hours. No lie.
I'm gonna tell you that I agree with you 100%, except in my current status of sitting at this house and utilizing this pressure cooker.
Mm-hmm.
If you pressure cooker some sauce, you can get 12, 13 hours worth of cooking in 35 minutes. Like, I made this sauce and I'm gonna tell you, it didn't taste any different than my regular sauce that usually takes like a full day and then a sit. It was spot on, and I think I had it in there for maybe 42 minutes. I was like, all right, I got you. But so what are you listening to lately?
Me?
Yeah.
I've reverted back, I guess you would say. It's going to sound terrible on my part, but I guess I might have an audience that will agree with me. Hardcore has kind of bored me these days. As much as I find new bands that I like, it's not sticking to me. It might be my age and my priorities and where I am and what I'm doing, but, artistically at the moment. But there's certain bands that have grabbed me and I listen to, like that band Mind Force. I like them a lot.
Okay.
What else? That other band from, I think, Long Island. They were very good. I forgot the fucking name already. See, this is some terrible fucking name.
Wait, how is the band from Long Island?
Young, same like Mind Force, like age,
Hangman?
Yeah, Hangman. Yeah, Hangman.
Okay.
Like, they were good. Like, I like a lot of these bands. Like, there's a band from Pittsburgh that sounds almost like Built Upon Frustration. I forgot their fucking name. They're another band. What's that?
Herpes?
I don't think so.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
I'm all confused because there's that whole comp of Pittsburgh bands, so I'm like, shit, which Pittsburgh
Listen, Pittsburgh has a very old formula that works for them a lot of times.
I mean, for me, the band out of Pittsburgh, well, I like a bunch of the bands out of Pittsburgh because obviously I like Eternal Sleep, but also Enemy Mind, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Is that the band you were talking about?
Yep, Enemy Mind. Yeah, they're crazy. I love them.
I was pointing out Hurt Peace, which is some dudes that are friends.
Mitchell playing there?
He might have filled in for them once. And then there's another band, Circle of Cana, who's really good, but they're more like a full-on metal band. And there's just like a bunch of bands out there doing their thing.
But of lately, if I was gonna say names of artists, the newest vinyl I copped, there's a guy from South Jersey, Philly hip hop's named Screw Tape.
Right.
He's very good. More traditional boom bap shit, but I don't even call that, a lot of people call that 90s golden era hip hop. I just think that is hip hop. That's just me, but personal opinion.
So did you hear the new Public Enemy song that came out?
Yes.
So, are we all three in agreement that Chuck is awesome and Flav is a total just train wreck on that song?
Chuck is awesome and Flav is not.
And Flav is Flav?
Chuck should have just went, I am Public Enemy, fuck off, and had him fucking just hang out in the back and drink or some shit, whatever he does.
I mean, I kind of thought that's what happened with the whole Bernie Sanders rally thing.
Yeah, I was surprised to see him even in the video at all.
Yeah. But I think that was a culmination of everything. I think that Chuck is always a voice of just reason and intelligence, and he was the first Public Enemy was that first hip hop group that I was just fuck, they're really talking about it. It was either KRS-One or them that I remember the first political hip hop I heard.
So for me, I'm gonna say that Public Enemy was the band that the hip hop group that I gravitated to most in the late 80s. My mom, and the reason why is my mom really appreciated the message that they were bringing. Absolutely. And at 11, 12, riding in the car, she didn't. There was that was right up her alley because she lived through the civil rights movement, and then it was like an extension of that for her, and she was 100% on board. Whereas when I wanted to listen to NWA, she was like, yo, what is this? Why? Don't listen to this. And I'm like, well, I want to listen to both, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like both, but NWA was a lot more with the cursing and the crazy shit. Public Enemy was a little more political and a little more, I don't want to say acceptable. That's a bad choice, but I'm trying to think of
more problem solving than just...
Yeah, it was more...
It's empowerment. It's about education.
Yeah. NWA was just telling street stories and cursing like crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
And then riding around with your mom in the car is probably not the...
It doesn't really work so well. I like both.
Me too.
But and I gravitated a little more towards NWA just because I like the crazy shit. But I did like both.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I like both too, but just saying it was more palatable in my household to listen to Public Enemy than it was to listen to NWA. Now, when I first started listening to hip hop, it was my dad was doing DJ shit, so I'm talking all the old 70s shit, Sugar Hill Gang, etc. So he's bringing me up through that. But the first hip hop record I purchased, I got him to buy me, was Licensed to Ill in '86. And I have a funny story about that. So I'm riding around. This is back in the day where you had to even if you owned the LP, you had to rip it to the tape because you can't drive around and listen to a record in a car. So I ripped that shit to a tape, and on one side is Licensed to Ill, and on the other is just a bunch of random songs. I don't need to get into what was on there. It was just a bunch of random hip hop shit. So then I'm riding around with my mom and we're listening to this shit, and the line about the porno mag, I didn't know at 10 or 9.5 or whatever what a porno mag is. I just didn't know. And I turned to my mom like, what is a porno mag? And my mom's like, oh, I don't know. And it's stuck in my head because my mom never ever told me she didn't know something. She knew everything. So it stuck in my mind. I was like, man, I finally stumped my mom on something. And then as I got older, I never revisited that question because I didn't need it.
Wow, that's funny.
And that was a total holy shit moment. What am I fucking doing in this car with this child asking me this fucking random ass question?
Oh yeah, I'm sure we're gonna get there. But yeah, that's.
Do you either of you have any situations like that in your life where you asked your parents some wild shit and it wasn't wild to you in the moment, but now it is?
I definitely had at least one of those. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I it did not go well. Put it that way. I don't know, I wouldn't say that I got backhanded, but it definitely did not go well for me. And I just didn't know, so it was like, what?
You're like, what happened? Why am I getting hit?
Yeah, why am I in deep shit? And then I guess my mom realized that, okay, he really doesn't know. He's just asking, and like, okay.
Whoops.
Well, it was a little weird.
Sorry, I slapped the taste out of your mouth, but
yeah, it's like, but what are you gonna do? You're a kid, you don't know these things.
I just got beat up.
You just got
beat up by my parents. I was just a fucking asshole teenager. Like, cops, everything, whole 9 yards. Like, it wasn't anything that caught them off guard because they were just, because I was just like the asshole kid. I don't remember.
Were you always the asshole kid? Tell me about Chris growing up, because I don't know enough about you growing up.
How do I make this short?
You don't have to make it short. Take your time.
Pops scrammed. I was with moms. I was born in Florida. Somewhere in fucking where Broward County in Florida. Yeah, I was only there for 2 months. I don't ever remember it, so it wasn't anything to me. Mom's moved to Perth Amboy, New Jersey, with my aunt, and we were living in like a split level family home, like somewhere like it's like close to, it's like right next to, if you know anything, 440, that area, Dunlaps. Yep. And then I was over there. Then from there, we moved to Woodbridge when I was about 10. So right around there. Got a step pops. He was a dick. Beat the shit out of him. Got arrested a lot for that. In and out of, trouble with cops because of, well, not really drugs, just being a dickhead kid. But I did, circle that wagon too. I was never a straight edge kid or a nice kid. Unlike my wife, her personally. Yeah. We're two polar opposites on this grow up lifetime.
Hey.
But,
it's funny how that tends to happen, right?
Oh, yeah.
Total
my
opposites.
wife and me, he knows are bipolar opposites on grow up side, because Anne-Marie is this respectable, great woman, and, well, there's me.
I mean, it's still the same now. She's still really respectable.
Oh, yeah.
Then there's
absolutely. 100%. I say this every single fucking day.
You know what? I want to have a follow-up episode at some point, and I want to have Anne-Marie on instead of you.
Go right ahead. I'm sure she would love that. But, yeah, so, that was that whole situation. I think I was sleeping on couches since I was 15, 16, on and off, in and out of my house, and out at friends' houses on couches and floors. Started working at like odd jobs as a chef, like prep cooks in small delis and restaurants, just to get money. Moved to Philly when I was 18. I was living on 23rd and Tasker in 2003, and fucking that was a shock. I went from Perth Amboy, where I was like, yeah, I think this is tough. Woodbridge, I was like, yeah, tough little fucking area. Then I go move in the big bad old fucking area, and I was like, oh shit.
You were like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I got reality checked real quick, but you learn, you live. I lived in Philly for about 5 years. I met Anne-Marie when I was in Philly, and pretty much that's when I moved to Florida and got the fuck out of Florida as quick as possible and came the fuck back.
I have this thing with Florida, and I hate it, and it can suck my whole entire dick from the back.
Sink that motherfucker in the ocean. Sink that motherfucker in the ocean. Never.
If I never go to Florida again, it will be too fucking soon.
Wow.
If there's anybody in Florida listening to this, I'm sorry, but your state, I can't hang with it.
Terrible. It's fucking terrible.
It's nothing personal against you listeners if you're in Florida, but I just don't like the place.
Please, I know my boys in Florida don't want to be in Florida if they didn't have to be in Florida right now. They say it all the time. They're like, you're lucky you got out.
Well, what is it about Florida, though?
What is it about Florida?
I mean, I've gone down there a bunch of times, but I never lived down there. I never spent that much time down there. I'm
All
just wondering what.
How much time you got?
So
I live there, man.
Well, see, I can understand. I'm curious more about Len just because it's like if you live down there, okay, I get it. But like just passing through, like
Probably say the same.
it's
thing.
just the vibe, man. Every single time I've been there.
Everybody's
All
sketchy.
right. My first visit to Florida was in 1982, and my family took me to Disney World. But we also went to one of those water parks, and I got on this ride called Dare Stuka, which I since went on after one more time. And it was basically the worst water wedgie I've ever had. And I think I'm still wiping it out. Like, it's like I occasionally have moments where I'm like, I think there's still like something stuck from 40 years ago. Like, it just like, cause it was literally like a 250-foot straight down drop. And like, you come away from the thing, and then when you hit, you're like, your legs pop open, and then the water is just like a full-on enema, and it's just insane. And like, so anyway, I had the worst absolute time as a kid there. We went back to the hotel. I fell, and I ended up getting 6 stitches in my chin because I fell, and like my tooth went through my lip. And then every single time I've been back to Florida since has been just as big a debacle. So I just don't want to go there anymore.
Gotcha.
The last time I went there, I ended up coming home and getting sick, and I'm talking like go to the hospital 2 times.
Wow.
Because I was so sick that I couldn't get past it.
So the place is cursed for you, basically.
Yeah. So fuck Florida. That's all I'm trying to say.
Seminole Indians wanted that motherfucker to burn down a long time ago once a white man took that shit over.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to go there every year pretty much for vacation and go to Disney World and all that shit. And then like for like a stretch of 10 years from like 1980 to 1990, we went just about every year. But then I've only been down there a handful of times since then to play some shows, and it's always been cool.
Yeah.
Can I do my 2 minutes of just rant on Florida?
Go.
Give it to me. I want to hear it.
1, fuck that state. 2, fuck that state. Completely fuck that state. Like 3, all you motherfuckers that are born in that state or been there longer than 20 years, you don't have a brain anymore. It's out of your fucking heads. It doesn't exist anymore. Dumbest people, like everybody's showing that video today, the women and the dude on the front porch with the guns, and she's holding the trigger and shit.
Yep.
Everybody in Florida. Everybody. I've went to the deepest, dirtiest parts of the South Bronx, and you live there. That's dangerous ass shit. That ain't fucking funny. But not everybody's sketchy. You can look at people and go, you ain't bad, man. Like you're just a normal human being. These motherfuckers down there, you look at every person, you're like, I don't know what that fucking motherfucker's gonna do. Everybody's sketchy.
Well, that's the main reason why we got Florida. If you all you have to do is just type in Florida man, and you can just pull up endless.
Florida is the only place in the world where they say the more north you go, the more south it becomes. It's true as fuck.
Oh, no, it's 100%. The closer you get to Georgia, the worse it gets. And don't even fuck around on the panhandle itself.
Jesus Christ, no.
You might as well be in Alabama.
Yeah, for real. Like that's not even.
I'm talking like 1960 Alabama, not even like current 2020 Alabama, which is still bad.
There was a 20-foot cardboard sign that said "N-word, go back" when I drove through the panhandle. I was just like, "You got fucking kidding me?"
It's not untrue.
Like I had a dude. I was fishing. The first 3 weeks I lived in Florida, I lived in this small shithole fucking podunk town called Newport Richey. It was like a half an hour outside of Tampa. It was podunk as shit. That's all me and Emery could afford at the time. But I went fishing, and this dude walks up to me. He's like, "How you doing, brother?" I turn around. Dude's like 5'5" of nothing, meth face looking motherfucker with a swastika tattooed on his forehead.
Wow.
You can ask Emery. She knows. He stuck out his hand. He's like, He's like, how you doing, brother? I slapped his hand away. I was like, I ain't your fucking bro. I was like, you got the wrong fucking idea. And he started backing up. I was just like, and then I wasn't even like mad at him anymore. I was like, where the fuck am I? What the fuck is this? And I'm just like, and I threw my shit and I walked off. I was just so angry. I was just like, what the fuck?
Ask Anne-Marie the next time you talk to her about it. Tell her, or ask her if I told her not to move to Florida. Because I told her not to move to Florida. I said, hey, don't do that. You are going to regret that. And all she had to say was, well, my best friend's there, so I want to go. And it's going to be a good change of pace. And I'm like, no, it's not. Stay here.
You were right.
I need you to confirm my story, but it's true.
You're right.
Yeah, fuck that.
But anyway, last part of that is just like, honest to God, like, the people that you get along with in Florida are usually not from Florida, because most people aren't. But like, you want to find truly fucking like crazy motherfuckers, it's Florida. Like, these dudes are all sketchy, all got a nut loose, and it's battle royale, man. You could own a bazooka and pull that bitch out of your trunk. That's all legal. That's all legal. It's all legal. It's crazy shit. Like, I swear to God, I'm not even lying to you. I was driving down the highway. There was a gun sale by the curb. This from a dude that came from the Northeast. Like,
well, you can't even really have a gun in New Jersey unless it's in your house. I could
spit on Staten Island, and I lived in fucking Philly. Like, if you had a gun, it was like, oh shit, bro. It was like, damn, yeah, like, take it easy.
Like, relax.
Even so, like, I go down there and like my boy's just like, oh, you got a gun? Like, this dude Keith I know. I was like, nah. He's like, you want to get a gun? I was just like, what do you mean? He's like, everybody has a gun. Like, everybody.
If you,
like, literally,
you don't have a gun, you've got a problem.
Yeah. And he wasn't fucking lying. Literally, I went to work one day and I asked the chefs, I was like, you guys got guns? Half of them fucking lifted their shirt. They're like, yeah, right here, man. And I was just like, holy shit. I'm like, yo, motherfucker, like, I had 10 people on the line. 4 were packing on the line. The rest of them had it in their locker.
Wow.
Hey, you gotta be ready in case the war pop off.
Listen, I'm all for guns. I really am. I'm one of these people. I don't trust the government. I don't trust cops. I want my right to have fucking guns because I don't trust nobody. But there comes a line. Man, you gotta like put some type of regulation, man.
What are you saying? Like, working on a cooking line is not the place to have your gun?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of heat, you know, a lot of friction. Something falls. I get shot accidentally because some fucking like dude's pistol falls out of their chef coat. I don't fucking know, or oil hits the trigger, or I'm
just taking that through in my mind a little bit further, and like somebody complains about the meal, and then the chef walks out to the table. I heard you was talking shit on my meal.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But sir, I want to return it. You ain't returning shit.
You better eat every single motherfucking bite of that bitch.
I ain't leaving till you eat every bite.
I'm talking, this was a classy ass place. I worked when I first moved to fucking Florida in Tampa. I worked at the Palm Steakhouse, which is a like known steakhouse throughout like the United States. It all started in New York and Philly. And I go down there and I start there and like, yo, Jack Nicholson ate there. Hulk Hogan's dumbass was there all the fucking time.
Yo, don't even bring him up. I didn't tell him. Yo, that's a trigger.
Yo,
word,
you just said the wrong words just now.
You triggered him.
Yo, I hate Hulk Hogan.
All right, I want to hear this.
I'll go for hours, dude.
I'm gonna be honest. I personally, as a wrestling fan in that era and after, I think he was majorly overrated. But continue your hatred.
Well, first of all, I'm a diehard wrestling fan myself.
Yeah.
And to me, the dude just did more damage than he did good to the entire wrestling business.
Absolutely.
But also, all you have to do is look at all the shit that happened with his son, and you could see that he is just a fucking dumpster of a human being. Because all the shit that happened with his son, with the kid driving, the whole drunk driving thing, and him blaming the kid. You know, the kid was a veteran and like managed to survive. What was it, the Iraq War? I forget. And then he comes over and gets his head caved in because this motherfucker's son is driving drunk.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, that kid must have done something bad to deserve this." It's like, no, your fucking kid did something bad.
Kid did that.
Yeah. He was friends with your kid. That's what he did.
Not to mention, I don't get this. Yeah, exactly. I don't get this. All of a sudden, like, it went from everybody was like, "Yo, that's fucked up. Fuck you, Hulk Hogan," to like now, how many years later, just like, "Oh, I love Hulk Hogan again."
Yeah,
because like,
everybody gives him a pass. Everybody gives him a pass. It's fucking bullshit.
No passes for me.
I was like, listen, Booker T don't even talk to his ass. So I was like, I go by the rule of Booker T. If Booker T don't talk to your ass, I don't talk to your ass either.
See, listen, here's another thing. Okay, I can understand, like, dudes make mistakes, they change their game up, and, like, you know, they make their apologies and this and that. Yeah. But, like, that dude gave such a half-assed apology, and then the way he talks, it's always like he's the center of attention, so it's like,
it's everybody else's fault besides his own.
There's no sincerity there. So it's like, fuck that dude. And then here's the other thing, and this is what we talk, like Len, we've talked about this a million times with cops, how they know they're being recorded and shit like that, and they still do stupid shit. Yeah. But here we go. Hulk Hogan is on the phone with his son who's in jail. You know those calls are recorded.
Always.
And you're spitting this racist shit.
Yeah.
Like, how stupid are you?
But let's be honest. Like everybody's saying, like, right now, I know we don't want to go too deep in this, but everybody's saying right now, they're like, oh, you know, this is all happening on tape and shit like that. I was like, yo, imagine, do you not know this has been going on forever? It just hasn't been on video? Hasn't been acceptable?
Len and I...
It's just like, it blows my mind that people think this is a current event. I've seen this since I was a kid, and I'm a white dude. I had... At 15, 16 years old, I was skating in a skate park. My boy Sinclair and my boy Juan were there. We get there. I had weed on me. We were smoking weed. Cops pull up. They both grab me. They put me aside and sit me down. They throw the other two of them to the ground. They start fucking with them. And they come over to me and they say, why are you hanging out with these N's and S's? And I'm just like, what? I'm 15, man. I've never heard this like blatantly out of somebody's face like that. And I'm just like, I get pissed. I don't know any other way. I got an uncle who's black. I got another uncle who's Spanish. Like this is. I'm white dude. I know my privilege a little bit at that point, but I was just like, fuck you. I get in the cop's face. I start going off. He throws me to the ground. And he's like, you stupid N lover, and like all going off and everything like that. And he brings them to the police station and lets me go. They drop me at home. They get, I think they had to pay like $450 worth of fines for both of them. I got nothing. It's always been, is my point. It's just not been widely recorded. I'm not saying anything to you, Len. I'm just like,
yeah.
We've talked about this before. I'm just like, people are just now seeing the ugly head because it's recorded. That it's that.
That is the only difference. That is the only difference. And I try to explain it, but I've kind of given up on trying to explain it at the same time, because the people who don't quote unquote get it, it's not that they don't get it, it's that they choose to not get it. They don't want to get
information. You have to choose to be ignorant as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, Len and I have discussed this many, many times, and it's just, the fact is, like, yeah, all this stuff is coming out now, but just like with the George Floyd thing, just like with all these other incidents, it's like, for every, and you know, listen, if you're doing dirt, no matter what kind of dirt you are doing, whether you're a cop or a kid on the street or whatever, you get busted. For every time you get busted, how many times did you do shit and get away with it? Right? Mm-hmm. So here we are now where all of this shit is coming up. But listen, what if nobody had a camera on George Floyd? What if nobody had a camera on old dude in Buffalo?
Right.
What if nobody had a camera on a bunch of these other incidents? What if nobody had a camera on Rodney King?
Yeah.
It would have been word on word.
But that's the whole point, because how many incidents happen like this where there's no camera, or, oh, hey, look, the body cam malfunctioned, it wasn't working.
Malfunctioned.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's definitely something that needs to change. People need to get fired immediately for malfunctions.
Right. But to me, it's no different from like if you refuse to blow into a breathalyzer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing.
If you refuse, you get arrested. That's simple as that.
But nobody will ever reprove that on that side. But that's the whole point. It's all these things, and I've always said it. We've had long conversations about it. If you're a cop, the root of the problem to me is lies in the training when it comes to a lot of these things. But these guys need to learn, and they need to understand, and they need to wrap their head around it, which they're still not doing, that everything you do is on video.
All of it.
There's cameras on how many fucking corners around, on how many streets, and then you got people walking around. Everybody's got a camera in their pocket now.
Yep. Even the cheapest of phones. You get pixelated fucking video, but you'll still get a video.
Exactly. So everything you do is probably going to be recorded. So don't fuck around, because whatever you do, it's going to be on the news. It's going to be on the news, because if it's some shit that goes down, they're going to look at it. Somebody's going to leak it out. It's going to be on World Star or some other shit.
Right.
And that's just how it is. So you have to conduct yourself a certain way because of that. And it's just like, joking around about Hulk Hogan, but it's a serious thing. It's like, if you know you're being recorded, why are you still doing this stupid shit?
Because you believe that even with the proof that there is no punishment.
Right. You think that you're untouchable. Hogan thought he was untouchable. A lot of the cops that do stupid shit think they're untouchable. A lot of people all around in all different, whatever they're doing, whatever kind of dirt they're doing one way or another, a lot of them think, hey, maybe they're never going to get caught.
And that's a part of privilege, to be honest, on my understanding of it, or my side of it, is because there is no punishment 90% of the time, so they don't think anything's coming.
Right. So the three of us know that I work with Sonny, and you guys saw that, his footage from that entrapment that the police department.
That's a kettle and crowd tactic from fucking like war camps.
Yep. So. There's apparently now a Philadelphia lawyer or a lawyer group that has taken up the cause of attempting to sue Philadelphia, the city, on behalf of every single person that was in that situation. And part of that is that Sonny's footage is going to probably come into play for that. That's what we need, is high quality, on the ground journalism to further push the issue of, bro, you're being watched. Like, you think you're watching us, we are all watching you.
Exactly.
And at some point, the tide has to turn, because otherwise it's going to get uglier. There's no way that with the amount of times that this type of information hits the internet, hits the sources, like the public source, that the court of public opinion will not fucking turn on you.
Right.
It's happening everywhere. Like you're seeing there was this joke article, but it was a real article too, that these villages in Florida of older people are now divided. They're basically going, wow, they're like, what the fuck is going on? Wow, how are you voting for somebody like this?
Well, we just saw the footage that Trump, you're talking about Trump footage,
power.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, so
white power.
White power. Just
flower.
So, how do we have a president that is willing to, I mean, obviously, I know how, but it's just willing to tweet these things out?
Yeah, but whoa. He didn't know.
He didn't
He
know.
didn't know.
Hold up.
It
Can
was
I
in
tell
the
you my
first
personal
20
opinion on
seconds
them?
of the fucking video. Did you
Can I
not
get
know?
my
Just
personal-
like, just like he didn't know about when the looting starts, the shooting
So
starts.
yeah, the shooting starts. Yeah, that bullshit.
Or is it
Just
like
like-
that he didn't know that Putin had the hit out on all
Yeah,
of our...
on the American.
Well, that's another thing because he still doesn't know because he still, as far as I know, he still hasn't been briefed about it. Which, why not?
Because he's hiding.
But he also didn't know about the triangle thing that they use in the Facebook ads. I mean, listen,
He didn't
cut
know
the guy,
about anything.
Cut the guy a break. He just didn't know.
Can I be honest? This dude's like the real life Mr. Burns. Like, I'm being honest. Like he like, if he was a literal like cartoon character, that would be him. He owns the biggest thing. He has a lot of money. He has so much money that he could fuck up so many times, and people just think he's just invincible, and they think he just does a good job because he still survives off his inherited $430 million, I think it was, after taxes, and then he doubled it up on a few things, and then sold out and bailed out before fucked. People choose not to know things. I looked at him from the beginning of this presidency and said, I'm not going to blame everything on him because you know why? Because the whole system was fucked to begin with. I'm sorry.
No,
Everybody likes
that's
Obama years, and listen, it represented change. It represented something to, I think, and it's just my own personal opinion, and maybe I could be wrong, but it represented to all cultures that maybe you can actually make it up here. It's the first time a white man has never sat in this seat. And it said to all of them, you could do this too. But at the same time, there's bombs dropped every fucking day by the tons. There's more immigrants deported under his fucking presidency than any other presidency. I'm sure they'll be broke by the time we're done with this one, but everyone has a corruption side or a bending side. Yes, he had a lot to fight against because he had opposition the whole way in there, but I think everybody really just has a price, and I don't think this system is going to work like this either. But
see,
that's just me.
I think with Trump, he's a lot of things, but he's not stupid, and that's the most dangerous thing about him. He knows exactly what he's doing, and that's the worst part because he knows that he's fucking with people. He acts like he doesn't know. He didn't know this, that. He knows. He knows that he's pissing people off and that he's just fanning these flames. Because listen, when we did the first episode of this podcast was the day that he did the whole Bible photo op thing.
Oh, Jesus.
And we were livid. And before it happened, I'm watching CNN and they're like, okay, the president's going to speak at 5 o'clock, whatever it was, whatever time it was. I don't remember. And I said on Facebook, go back, it's still there. I said, I wonder how much gasoline he's going to throw onto this fucking fire. And sure enough, it played out exactly like I thought it would, even worse.
He drove a tanker into it, full.
Right. Which is what we come to expect from this guy because that's what he does. And everybody knows it, and all these people defend it. But in the end, I just have to laugh about it at this point, as terrible as it is, because it's like you can see it coming from a mile away. But everybody just enables it, so it just keeps happening and gets more and more ridiculous. Because how many people are like, oh, well, he didn't know. And it's like, get the fuck out of here. He didn't know.
He knew.
Stop.
He knew.
Stop. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. There's PR people that literally tell him information every day. They tell him what to say. And whether he chooses to or not to say those things, I don't know if they're directing him or he's directing himself. But, yeah, he's not that dumb as people think he is.
Yeah,
he stokes the fire.
I think that's the biggest mistake that people make, that he's just dumb. He's not dumb. He's a lot of things. He's not dumb. He knows exactly what he's doing, and that's the worst part of it. Is he crazy? Yeah. Is he out of his fucking mind? Yeah. But, crazy and stupid are two very different things. Like, he's like Joker level crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, Yeah, like you watch the Joker and the shit that he does. He's not stupid, but he's crazy, and he knows what he's doing. Whether it's in the movies, the comic books, whatever, he knows what he's doing. And Trump is the same way because that's what he is. He's just sitting here fanning the flames. To me, I've always said, I said it on here before, he's the ultimate anarchist because he's just planting these seeds everywhere and he just wants to watch everything burn. He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't care if white people and black people are fighting in the streets and cops are just gassing everybody.
Yeah,
that's what he wants. That's what he wants. He wants everybody to be fighting with each other. He wants people to be pissed off about shit. He doesn't care. And that's really what it is.
I got an email earlier today, I believe, but I can't. I'm struggling to fucking find it now. But it was speculation that Trump was so upset about the polling numbers because he's trailing Joe by like 9 to 10% in most of the polling that they're fearing that he's going to actually pull out of the race.
I saw something about that on Facebook. Don't do me any favors, buddy.
Yeah. Please go ahead. Please go ahead and pull out.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah.
We had to use that this time.
But it's funny because I could see that going either way because and I said this recently when the earlier election happened 4 years ago. He kept saying crazier and crazier shit, and I thought he doesn't really want to do it, but his ego won't let him back out.
Yep.
So he's just trying to turn people off, and it didn't work. And then he ended up winning, and now here he is again, and like I could see him leaving just because he doesn't like the poll numbers, but I could also see him staying just because he refuses to
quit.
Because we talked about it before also that even if he loses,
get him out there.
And Chris, tell me what you think about this because we talked about this. Even if he loses, he's not going to leave there without a fight.
No, he's not. And there's also going to be public problems too.
Oh, there'll definitely be public problems.
Oh yeah,
there's going to be blood in the streets.
It's going to be a disaster.
And I was saying this earlier to a friend of mine. No names, but he's involved in something, and I was just like, gangs need to come together now more than ever. I was like, y'all motherfuckers need to come together because it's going to get crazy. Like, if he loses, you guys need to band together to do some things that
deal with y'all's problems on at another time.
Yeah,
this is not the time to be separate.
And they're actually, like, LA's been talking about that. Crips and Bloods apparently been talking about this shit now. Like, starting doing, like, fucking neighborhood watch protection, which is what they should have been doing. Maybe that would have made sense in the first place. But, I guess you got to go from illegal, like any story in America, you got to go from illegal to legal. And a lot of white people miss that, too, because they were the hooch traders. And you got to listen. You gave black people the crack epidemic and tried to kill them all, and they flipped it on your ass and tried to make millionaires out of themselves. So you can go fuck yourself off of it too.
Yeah. So I want to kick back to the part of the conversation that you mentioned earlier, where the two people were defending that house or that palace from with the terrible trigger finger etiquette.
Oh my god.
Like what? Like who said they could have guns?
Googly eyes.
Yo, who let these two people have guns? Honestly, I was waiting for an errant shot to happen. Like that lady was scared out of her goddamn mind for no good damn reason. B, I like her hand was just like. So my friend Sarah was actually there. And filming, and like I'm watching her live on the thing on this lady's.
Wow.
I'm like, yo, is this like, is she about to get shot? Because this lady is like waving the fucking gun, and I could clearly see that her finger was on the trigger. I'm like, yo, this is just some wild shit. You don't do that. You just don't do that.
I was just thinking she was about to break her nose with the recoil.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, that too. Yeah, the broken wrist stance, yeah.
That shit would pop her right in the nose coming back.
Like,
and then I'm thinking to myself, like, at first when I started seeing the video, I'm like, how did we get to this point? Like, because I didn't know what transpired before or after, and I'm like, are there people on the street with guns, and these people brought their guns out to just like, show force, like, hey, we got them too? No, this was literally a peaceful protest on the block, basically, and y'all were so scared. And I saw some report that the guy who it was actually did like an interview, and he referenced like the French Revolution or some shit like that.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, what the fuck are you even talking? What planet are you on right now?
By the way, do you know what their occupation is?
Yeah, they're lawyers.
They are personal injury attorneys.
Get them the fuck out of here.
Which means that this is a lot cheaper and a lot more exposure for them than chasing ambulances all day.
True.
So they're getting their exposure. This is their free advertising right now. Because some fucking redneck asshole is like, well, I'm going to give them my business.
Yeah.
They're doing the Lord's work. I'm going to give them my business.
The Lord's work.
When a tractor ran over me, I'm going to call down. The fuck
Lord's
out of here.
work.
Get out of your fucking mind, these two idiots.
So, new Misery Signal song.
That's quite the
My terrible
transition.
human being.
I mean, listen. Honestly, we could go on for hours about this, and we have.
I know you guys were saying it before that you didn't want to dive.
Oh, because we'll just go on, and I'll be screaming.
I could too.
I'll be screaming like Lewis Black, and it'll just never end.
Yeah.
Like I said, at this point, it's like you just have to laugh because it's gotten so beyond ridiculous that it's like, what's next?
Our world is the definition of clown.
Although I will say this. I really appreciate that those two people did that with the guns because it's a fucking meme jackpot online.
God, that's amazing.
Oh,
Yo, they are just can we just all agree that the internet is undefeated? It's just absolutely trolling any situation that happens.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
If you walk in with muscles on the internet, they're just like, oh yeah? You ready?
Got you.
I got you.
Yeah.
It's time to show you like your mama did in second grade. You fuck out of here.
You're giving me so much content to post on Facebook right now. Thank you. Thank you two idiots with your guns so much. Because you already entertained
like Charlie Sheen and Platoon coming out of his house wrapping that band around his wrist and shit. I've never shot that shit off in his life.
Oh man, the one with her face painted like the Joker.
Oh my god,
that was so
one
good.
is the greatest. The Hamburglar, because she's got the Hamburglar.
Oh yeah, the Hamburglar too. Oh my god. Oh man.
Yeah, when I saw the Hamburglar one, I was in tears.
I died. Somebody wrote underneath it like, "Holy McFuck it."
Yeah, what was the other one? Somebody said, "Oh, who called in the Margaritaville National Guard?" Oh man! Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Like the Tom Morello thing was like one of the greatest things I saw too, because that dude that was just like, you should stay out of you should stay out of politics with your music. He's like, can you please direct me to what song I wrote that wasn't political, and I'll take it away from my discography.
Yeah, like have you not been paying attention?
To shit on this man. They proceeded to shit on him, disembowel him, draw and quarter him, and call it a day. Like it was just like, holy shit.
Anytime I see people on the internet complaining that Rage Against the Machine is being too political with their stance, It just like it boggles my mind to the point where I just shut down. It doesn't compute. I mean, literally, the name of the band.
It's telling 108 to stop being religious.
It's just so painful.
The crazy thing is to think these people don't even equate any of the lyrics to like political activism in any direction.
That's because they hear it, they're not listening.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like when you both seen White Men Can't Jump, right?
Yeah.
So it's the conversation he has in the car about listening to Jimi Hendrix. It's the exact same thing. You might hear it, but you're not listening.
Yeah, right. It's true. Like I got lucky, like when I was a kid, to like reference music that way. Like the you're hearing him, but you don't listen. My uncle, who married into my family, was my Uncle Henry from Georgia. He was a black man from Georgia, and he fled from Georgia during the civil rights activists because his mother told him to go, to leave, to get out because it was too dangerous. And he left. And he taught me when I was younger. I remember I was listening to B.B. King.
Okay.
And I remember I was listening to
B.B. King is telling stories straight through.
Yeah, and I was listening to like Midnight Blues or something. I was like, I love the guitar on this. I'm just listening to the guitar. And he's like, stop listening to the guitar. He's like, listen to what he's saying. Listen to where that comes from. And to be honest, that was one of the best lessons I ever had on that type of music, because I was like, holy shit, you feel it to a different level at that point. You're just like, even if you're a white kid from fucking the country, you're just like, oh shit, that's crazy if you actually listen to the struggle. But that's what made blues, real R&B, like all that shit was all based on that.
100%.
Well, that's what made rap, early rap.
Oh yeah,
rap.
So good.
Same thing. Like tie it all back. What we were talking about with Public Enemy, same thing.
Yep.
It's like you listen to Public Enemy, but are you listening? Same for Boogie Down Productions, same for NWA.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
So if you could always change it. Everybody always asks for the top, but I'm saying, what was the top hip hop artist that influenced you or showed you something, or maybe you're just like, holy shit, hip hop's a different level with this? Like, it could be 2 or 3 or one person. Like,
well, my first, I'll jump in real quick. My first oh shit moment is EPMD, because the two of them together brought something to the table that I had not really heard before. But then secondarily, their protege, Redman, really is my absolute favorite hip hop dude, because he can do everything, whether it's off the cuff, just straight shoot rapping, or he can actually sit down and write a rhyme and build a beat to go along with it. He can make a skit that makes you laugh, and he can tell you, he can do rhymes that are straight gutter, and he can have a good time. He's your every angle hip hop dude. So for me, that's my guy, but otherwise it's EPMD.
For me, I can't really narrow it down to 1 or 2, but I'll tell you where the history comes from. My first exposure was probably Run DMC, because that was when I was a kid, before I started getting into metal, and then, discovering shit on my own. And then from there, I got into hardcore. Run DMC was on Z100, was on the radio, and that was my first exposure to hip hop. Run DMC and the Beastie Boys, because that was mainstream. That was what was on the radio when I was a radio kid, before I stared,
And LL.
Yeah, LL too, but I wasn't.
Can't be.
LL, yeah, but some of LL stuff I was like, meh. It didn't hit me the same way like Run DMC and the Beastie Boys did. But then I got into metal, when I was in high school, kids were trading tapes, and somebody gave me a tape, and one side of it was Fate's Warning, and the other side of it was Straight Outta Compton. And I was done. Like, I love Fate's Warning, but I Straight Outta Compton got ran through. Like, I wore that fucking tape out. And from there, you know, I started branching from there into other shit, Ghetto Boys, stuff like that. But then, you know, in the other direction with like Eric B and Rakim, but I always liked that gangster shit. Yeah. So I just was fully into that. And then later on I started to expose myself more in different directions, but to me, like NWA and, you know, take that to be spin-offs of NWA, because then Cube left and Cube did his own shit. And
I was just having that conversation just the other day. I was like, yo, Cube is the reason why NWA was so damn good.
Oh, yeah.
If it's Cube and Dre, you cut those two out, the NWA is nothing.
Right. Because Cube wrote most of the shit. Yep. They freely admit that. But when Cube left, because, you know, there was other stuff that I liked too, but I always liked the beef shit. Mm-hmm. So, like, when Cube left and they were beefing with each other, that was when I was just fully into it. And to a much lesser extent, like, you had Third Base, and those dudes split up, and then they were just beefing with each other, making fun of each other in their videos, and I love that shit too. But when Cube left, and then, you know, Message to Benedict Arnold, and shit like that, like, they were just shooting hard at each other. And it was like, oh, shit.
Well, Cube has still the best diss track that ever existed in hip-hop, and I'll say that to this day. No Vaseline is
without
the
doubt,
hardest diss track ever.
I was just going to say that because when they put it down on wax, and over the years, that tradition has continued, not as much as I would like, and not in ways that I would like, because the newer shit is just, I can't get into it, but like the classic shit, when these dudes would beef with each other, it was just crazy. And then they were going after each other, because to me, Eminem's best shit was when he was dissing, whether it was Everlast or Ja Rule.
Yeah.
You know.
He's not a rapper.
Yeah. But to me, that NWA split, like, that was heavy for me. And the Ghetto Boys. I got to see the Ghetto Boys at Madison Square Garden.
Was that the one where they told everybody to go fuck themselves, or was that the one after where they sold it out?
It was sold out. I don't remember them saying go fuck themselves, but it was.
So there's a great thing. You can look it up. If you look it up, there's an actual, like, it's an actual good, like, kind of like biopic. It's Evolution of Hip Hop on Netflix.
Okay.
So they came through New York the first time ever, Ghetto Boys. And it was when the big, you know, like, no Southern rappers were ever recognized. So they came through and they played New York, and they were just like, they were an opener in Madison Square Garden, and like, they were just like, boo, fuck you. And they're telling them to get the fuck out of here. And they're like, fuck you, we're going to come back and sell this motherfucker out. You all go fuck yourselves. And they dropped their shit in the middle of the goddamn show. And they walked off stage. Next time they came around, I guess that's when you saw them. They sold out the whole fucking garden.
That had to be it, because it was fully loaded. It was the Ghetto Boys headlining. Queen Latifah was on the bill. Who else? I think Kid and Play were supposed to be on there, but then weren't. And I forget if Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince were on there. I'd have to really look it up, but I know Leaders of the New School was on there.
Oh, well, that's Busta Rhymes right there.
And then Tribe got up, and because it was when Scenario was in full swing.
Oh, man.
So they got up and did Scenario, and the place was wild.
Yeah, so
wild.
I was thinking about that song in general when we were talking about stuff, or when you asked me about, like, EPM, or when I was talking about EPMD, etc. Of all the songs that I have heard, that is one of the best hip hop songs of all time for me, is just that specific track scenario. And it's because they pulled in people obviously is loosely attached to themselves anyway, like people they hung with, but like the chemistry of that song and Busta Rhymes coming in twice.
Yep.
It just, I don't know, every time blow the roof off. I mean, that is what set a party off in high school for us. If somebody put that song, the party was live.
Party's on. Yeah.
And that was a crazy time because if you know the history, before Puff Daddy blew up, long before Biggie, Puff Daddy was just a little hip hop promoter.
Yep. And
he did something at City College, and there was
a
lot of people died. Yep. This was like a week or two after that.
Okay.
Because everybody was chill, and Heavy D comes out talking about we need to keep the peace, and that was the only time there was a fight the whole night. Because Heavy D's talking, and then all of a sudden two people in like 305 start beefing and start swinging at each other. And it was just like, you know, here's Heavy D trying to tell people, yo, we got to keep it peaceful for the community, blah, blah, blah. And they're just throwing. And that was like the only beef the whole night. But
Heavy D was like the Sinbad of comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's just like the song that he got popular off of obviously was like a old hit from the 70s. He just flipped it and I mean, like, he literally didn't even do anything to that beat. He was just singing on it as was. But like, what the fuck else did he do? I don't even know. But that was enough to propel him to the point where he would be at a place begging for people to keep the peace. But I just can't take him serious.
I'll tell you this: nobody took him seriously that night because he was getting heckled before that shit popped off. Heavy D came out and people were like, exactly. This fool. Like, people were not really feeling it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just like going to see Sinbad. You're like if he's on the bill, it's like blah 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 Sinbad and somebody else. You're like, man, you could just take him right off. It'd be good.
I came in through this the odd way out of this fucking shit. You guys came in like definitely during righteous times like that, but like I was a kid that was a skater, so skaters always, if you meet any skateboarders when you're kids, like they listen to everything. BMX skaters, they all fucking listen, from hip hop to hardcore to punk to metal. It's all fucking there.
So how did you find hardcore in general, Chris? Like, was there some like friend?
I got lucky. It was actually the same way I found out about hip hop. My cousin was he's 4 years older than me. So when I was 11, he was 14. He was a skateboarder. He just got me into skateboarding. I just started pushing around, you know, simple shit. But like, he gave me my first cassette tapes because I'm that old as well. Yeah. But he gave me the cassette tapes, and it was it was Slayer, Season of the Abyss. That was one of them. Then I got Agnostic Front, One Voice. Then I got Madball, Set It Off. Then I got Pantera, Far Beyond Driven. Then I got
no. We had a long conversation about Pantera, specifically that record last week. I
think that's, by the way, in my opinion, that's their best record ever.
That was exactly my opinion as well.
And what I said was it had absolutely their best, most punch somebody in the mouth song on it, which is Slaughtered.
Oh, that. That fucking shit. Fuck. I remember hearing that. I was like, is that somebody's feet?
Yeah.
So I had KRS-One. What else? Oh, I got Public Enemy. That was another cassette tape I got. But then the one that really got me deep, and it sounds crazy, but I got Naughty by Nature tape. And my cousin was just like, don't just listen to like the popular songs. He's like, listen to Tretch. And if you ever actually listen to Tretch by Naughty by Nature, he is actually, in my opinion, one of the most underrated rappers ever. But I got introduced to hip hop and hardcore by my cousin at 11 years old from skating and shit like that.
That's a nice mix of tapes, by the way.
Oh yeah, he was. Well, he got lucky too. He was. They were living in Plainfield, my cousin. So he was. He was always exposed to good music because the skating scene around there was so diverse.
Yeah.
But that's how I got into it. But like, when through skating too, like it was kind of cool though, because even at that age, like when I started getting heavy into music and skating, like 14, 15, like there was Poor Righteous Teachers, like there was a bunch of guys.
Now you're talking about Trenton. You're talking about Trenton right there.
Yeah, exactly. Like even P-Funk had a lot to do with just hip hop in general in fucking New Jersey. Like if you don't have P-Funk, you don't have fucking hip hop in New Jersey. That's 100%. That's how it goes. But you know, without Latifah, like even Budden back in the day before he went crazy, like he was a legitimate NJ, you know, guy. Like you even had fucking what's his name from Perth Amboy, Milkbone. He got signed and had some shit.
So
what was that crew that was from Jersey? That Latifah was part of, and I forget what. I keep thinking of Native Tongue, but that's not it, is it?
Yeah, well, they were part of the Native Tongues.
Okay, that's what.
Yeah.
That's what.
But Native Tongues all went into also like the guys from fucking shit, Tribe Called Quest.
Tribe, yeah.
It was my favorite. Fuck. Why can't I think of the goddamn name right now? Jungle Brothers. They were part of it.
Yep.
I love the Jungle Brothers. Jungle Brothers is one of my favorite hip hop artists actually ever. I love that just geeked out weird version of like fucking hip hop.
I saw them live once at Washington Square Park. They played on like a 420 festival long time ago, like sometime in mid 90s, I think it was.
Yeah.
So the Wikipedia is a wonderful fucking site, and I don't care what anybody has to say about. Oh well, it's people writing things. Fuck out of here. This is a great site with a lot of information. Sure, there can be some nonsense on here because people go in and make fake edits because they think they're fucking funny. But overall, the information you can get on Wikipedia is fucking tight. Way better than you could ever think about getting out of like Encyclopedia Britannica back in the day. So fuck off with that. But so I couldn't remember, and you guys were struggling. It is definitely Native Tongues.
Okay.
And that includes Jungle Brothers, De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, and they're considered the universal Zulu Nation.
Were Black Sheep in there on that too?
They're part of the Zulu Nation.
Okay.
Yep. Because who else came out of Zulu? It was X-Clan was one of them, I think.
It was started by African Mabata. And then there's a whole bunch of people included in that.
Yeah. It was just an umbrella over like some of the best guys in the whole fucking shit anyway.
Yep.
So also, who do you think is one of the most underrated in hardcore or hip hop? I don't care. Music
Underrated.
Underrated
bands. I hate to say anything, but well, I'm gonna say Phife Dawg from Tribe Called Quest. Posthumously, people love him, but back when it happened, he was not nearly as loved as Q-Tip.
No,
that's true.
And honestly, if you go back and listen, I like his verses a lot better.
Yeah, better. Yep.
Than Q-Tip. But Q-Tip has the fucking voice. He's got that smooth butter voice. Mm-hmm. So people flock to it. But for me, he's one of those dudes that could always spit something that actually said something, but also flowed very well. And then maybe Kool Moe Dee.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
It's hard for me to say because there's a couple of guys that I think of and they've gotten their due. I just think, I guess if you're looking at like mainstream recognition, like Rakim never got.
Oh God, yeah,
Yeah,
never.
I feel so bad for him.
Like he never got that spot that put him over with the mainstream.
I also think that's Eric B's fault, but that's
Maybe.
just-
But he's one of them. But just just strictly when it comes to rhymes, like
Can we talk about Rakim's verse in "I Ain't No Joke"?
oh
That shit is fire.
Woo! You're talking about one of the best bar verses ever.
yeah.
Just insanity. And you're probably right. Just in thinking about that, listeners, if you haven't listened to that song, go listen to that song.
Ain't no joke. Ain't no joke. And you don't know shit if you don't know about that song.
For a dude that never got that mainstream recognition, how many times has he spit a verse and he could just drop the mic and fucking walk away and people would just be like, whoa.
Almost all the time.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's just got it.
It's like him and Big Daddy Kane could do that all the time.
Yeah.
So, all right. I pulled up his Wikipedia, and in 2012, The Source actually ranked him as #1 lyricist of all time. So, I guess in the fact that he's not as active now, he's starting to get the recognition that he should have been getting way back when.
But even so, like I said this a long time ago, even when him and Eric B separated and Rakim had that first album, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. That first album was pivotal. Like fucking Primo doing most of the beats on there and shit. Like it was nuts. Like I still listen to that. Like it's religion.
But it's like I said, like, okay, The Source is talking about it, but you don't see like
not mainstream.
Rolling Stone magazine did an article about the greatest lyricist of all time. They're not putting him on top.
They would. He probably wouldn't even scratch the top 50 because they just would ignore him.
See, I don't think they'd ignore him, but I don't think they would give him his due. Like he may make top 10 for them.
You think
but
so?
Maybe. But they would put like fucking Cardi B up there and shit.
You know who they would have as #1? You know who they would have as #1?
Jay-Z.
Eminem.
Yeah. He's a guest though.
Listen,
I say this all the time, and I'll be honest. As a white dude that does hip hop, if you don't admit you're a guest in this shit, you're an idiot. You need to realize that. It's not our thing. But also at the same time, if you do anything component of rock, blues, country, R&B, or anything, and you're a white person as well, same shit. Just being honest. But, it's more known as, like, the most recent to be, a subculture that was primarily African-American the whole entire time. Well, it was strictly at first. It wasn't until, like, the fucking, I don't know.
To the mid-'80s.
Till the mid-'80s, and maybe one white person came around. And to be honest, up until maybe LP, like, fucking, like, there was terrible fucking white rappers. They were all bad.
I'm gonna argue that
you're not a Terry B fan.
Oh Jesus Christ! God damn it! Why did you have to go there? You know how I found out about Terry B? Is because she started that rap rock band Manhole, and I was working at a radio station. And they sent the record in, and my friend was like, yo, this thing is pretty fucking cool. And I was like, all right, let me listen to it. And then I listened to it, and I wanted to kill myself because it was fucking bad. And then I was like, all right, well, who is this idiot singing? And I'm looking, and I'm like, oh, this is actually a girl. All right, well, let me check into this person. And then I found out it's Terry B. And I'm like, all right, well, who's Terry B? And then I'm digging, and I find out she had a hip-hop career before that is just pure embarrassment. Like we were talking last week about embarrassing moments. I had post embarrassment for finding out that she had that nonsensical bullshit career beforehand. No.
Well, she was on she was on Eazy-E's label, wasn't she?
Right.
When
She was.
started. That's how I knew about her. Because I was always more into metal and then hardcore, but like my brother was listening to a lot of hip hop in the early '90s, and I would get exposed to random shit from him. And Terry B was definitely one of them. And I feel like there was some connection with her and Everlast or something. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I don't know. I'm gonna have to use the internet for that.
Yeah, I don't know, but I just remember her early on, and like, cause I remember Everlast was like down with the Syndicate, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh, so there is a song, Terry B featuring Everlast, Vinny the Moocher.
Oh my god!
And it's on YouTube.
I have respect for Everlast, to be honest, because I think like House of Pain, honestly, as a group, that album they originally Jump Around whole album that they released was actually very good.
It's not bad. It's not a bad record.
Yeah, it was like the first proud, like I was like, all right, you're a white hip hop artist. This kind of works. Let's do this.
But the key is they were proud Irishmen, not just I'm proud to be white. There's a difference.
Yeah, exactly. This is also true. You know, and out of them you had Muggs, which was great with them and fucking Cypress Hill. Like Cypress Hill to me, like I love Cypress Hill. Like the hip hop shit we do with like the Project Bake Sale is basically Cypress Hill 2.0.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us about your project actually, real quick?
Well, the project between me and my guy Max Mill, that's called Bake Sale. It's I guess you would say a friend of mine listened to it. He said it was like a love letter to weed, but you know, we're just.
I was just gonna say, by the way, I listened to it before, and I felt high just after listening to it. I was like, damn, I'm fucking high right now.
You got a contact high straight out the speakers?
Yep, straight from the speakers, straight to the head.
But we have all different projects, so that's just a project between me and him, which actually at this moment we stopped because that was more of like a lighthearted type deal. Now, my boy Max Mill, he's actually doing a record that's going to be a collaboration between me and a bunch of local NJ hip hop artists that are going to do like a kind of like a political driven record for the next, probably going to come out in a few months. So, and I also have my project that's going to come out. First solo thing is going to be 7 songs called Grimy Flow 1. I got a boy of mine, Bills. I got a few other guys coming through. Maxwell's going to be on there as well. You know, it's a different avenue for me. I've been doing it for a long time, but I just never put anything to wax or attempted to do anything because I was so caught up in like hardcore and punk music that like, you know, I just never made the transition over. But yeah, it's fun. I love it doing hip hop just as much as I love doing hardcore. When is the next time we'll see a public crowd? I don't know. Fuck. I'm staying away from all diseased motherfuckers. Fuck up.
Yeah, have you seen just how badly the numbers are spiking lately?
Oh God, I don't even want to fucking fit. And it's all these fucking states that all these morons are just like, let me through. It's just like, oh my God.
Well, the word came today, and this is a really bad sign, that they're not opening Broadway theaters until at least January.
Oof.
Yeah.
So that's not a good sign. Because the other thing too is, and this is what kills me, because like, okay, I like all kinds of music, but there's one type of music that I really can't fuck with. You want to guess what it is?
Country.
Exactly. And they're doing all these concerts, and they're supposed to be socially distanced and all this shit, and they're fucking it up and just crowding it up. And what kind of concerts are they?
Country concerts, baby.
Exactly.
Well, they can't even not fuck their own cousins. How do you expect them to social distance? Let's be real.
So they're just fucking it up for everybody. So,
bro, I'm fine with all these people getting sick.
Natural selection. Fuck them. Just don't call them to my hospital.
See, my biggest concern, and this is a truly personal biggest concern for me, is that if these schools across the nation do not open come September, my actual job, not the studio, not doing this podcast, not scratching my ass. My actual job is dependent on them being open so that kids can take some of these standardized tests, because there is no other location for them to take them. So it screws over the kids because that's what colleges use for admissions and merit scholarships, etc. But B, and this is the more important B for me, if they're not testing, I may not have a job. So I need these people to just can we just shut down for after July 4th? Let's just shut down for like 4 weeks straight. Just shut it straight down. Nobody's allowed to leave the fucking house.
Yeah, but listen, we can't even get them to wear a fucking mask.
I know.
Wham!
This is where uneducated like Merrick comes from.
Yo, that picture you posted earlier, though, Gary, about
the hood.
They're more than willing to walk around with their KKK hood on, but ask them to put on
they can't breathe
mask.
in this mask.
Yeah, exactly.
But listen, I'm without getting too much into it, I'm in a similar field of work where if people can't take tests, there's nothing for me to do. So I'm worried about it myself, because if we can't test people, then I may end up in a completely different line of work, and I don't know how well that's going to work out.
That's the sad part, because most of us, I'm the same story. Like, I'm a chef, but I got out of the restaurant and hotel industry that I am now in a corporate industry where we service cafeterias and big name businesses.
Right.
My company that we're contracted for, businesses, office buildings have to open up first for me to have my job back.
So you're not working right now?
Oh no, I'm not working until they office. Well, I'm getting paid. I'm very lucky.
Okay, so that's good. Yeah, I've been working from home.
Yeah, same.
So it's not. Yeah, so it's not like I'm not in that demographic where you're suddenly unemployed.
Yeah, but
and I'm union, so one way or another, they'll more than likely find a place for me elsewhere. But it's just the headache of it, and just because listen, even if they start really opening these office buildings, or in my line we start testing, it's not going to be at the same capacity, so it's still going to be an adjustment. They might have me working home a couple of days a week. They might have me, and I used to get a decent amount of overtime, so that's going to be shot. So, it's all going to be different for a long time. Like I said, they made the announcement today about the Broadway theaters, and that's crazy because I know people who do like lighting and like stage work for shit like that. And, and then look, with what we do musically, like bands that tour.
Yeah. Who knows when that fuck's going to come back. Like, I'm sorry. Let's be real honest with each other. There's shows being announced. Like, is this really going to just... Can anybody step in? Am I stepping on toes? What's going on?
That's a big question. But then, look, bigger than like what we do, like Live Nation... put out all this shit about, taking a bigger percentage and this and that. And like, those guys aren't going to be moving anytime soon anyway. And even if they do, there's so much mathematics involved. It's like you plan a national tour based on, X amount of people per night. Suddenly your math is all off. Like, it may not be worth it for you to do this tour. So shit is going to be a mess for at least another year on that level. Like, okay, we may be able to have a small hardcore show, especially if somebody does like a secret basement show or some shit.
Oh, but like, are you referring to the one that I played?
I'm not trying to incriminate anybody.
Yeah, whatever. I played some riffs.
Yeah,
but I wore a mask.
Secret show.
I wore a mask. Other people at the show were not wearing a mask. I wasn't willing to take that chance. I got too many things swirling around me that I wore my mask, and I did at least the best I could do for myself in that moment. I also stayed pretty much out of the congregation areas as much as possible and hung out alone, but I am a loner, so that's not really like a surprise.
I was going to say,
when do we hang out with crowds?
We're pros with the social distancing thing anyway, because we're the same way. Like, we're not playing if we're not sitting at the merch table. Like, we're just kind of hiding out in the corner.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm not social butterfly. I never have really been one, and for varying reasons, I don't find any fun in it, so I just avoid it. But yeah, I mean, I played that show. It was a good time. It was nice to actually be out doing things. But you know, is it something that I would do constantly? No, because I don't trust people. That's what it comes down to. I need to be able to know, like. I when I go to the grocery, I went to the grocery store earlier today, and you know, I have in my car my own vat of sanitary wipes. I don't even trust the wipes at the grocery store because that means I got to touch the fucking machine to get them out. Nah, I'm good. I take my own wipes out of the car. I got fucking hand sanitizer in the car. I got my mask, and you know, before I get back in the car, I hand sanitize. I do the whole thing again before I even touch my phone. Like I'm trying to limit my potential for exposure, but I realize that I can't stay in my house 24/7, and having people deliver groceries to me isn't worth the amount of money that it costs me to do it when I can just go to the store and do it myself.
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just don't give a shit. All these people fighting about, I don't want to wear a mask, blah, blah, blah. It's like, is it really that big of a fucking deal? They're the same ones that are calling everybody else snowflakes about shit. And it's like, okay, it's a mask. Like, we're not asking you to do 20 push-ups, okay? Like,
also, you got idiots that think the home is going to get looted that's out in the fucking country. So, you know, you got to think the rationale there.
Well, everybody in my town. All right, so let me just take it to my town. I live 5 miles or so outside of city center of Trenton, and for like 2 days there were like mild, and I'm gonna say absolutely mild, riots in Trenton. Like literally not even enough to make the news, and on all the groups for Ewing Township, all you saw was people like up in arms about how it was coming out here and that they were preparing for the worst. And I'm like, do you understand that nobody is walking 5 miles out here to Ewing Township? And I'm on the edge of Trenton and Ewing. I'm not even in like Ewing Central, like Ewing, you could go another 3 or 4 miles and then you're in the fucking country. Nobody is coming out here. They're not going to get in their car and drive out here. They're not going to walk out here. You're perfectly safe. Shut the fuck up.
Exactly. Take it from my perspective. I'm out in fucking Warren County, New Jersey.
Ain't shit happening there.
Nothing. But these idiots have fucking like cardboard cutouts of Trump on their front lawn, like don't infringe on me shit, and like all this shit, and like don't eat on my lawn and shit. And I'm just like,
who are you talking to?
I was like, who your white ass neighbor's gonna fucking do this to you? Like, well, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And
the outsiders are gonna come and do it.
Oh my god, I swear to God. Like they think like somebody's gonna drive from like.
We're bussing. We're going to set up some buses.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know where from this point, like where the nearest like threatening city would be. It would probably be fucking Newark or some shit would be the nearest threatening city.
And that's a good 35-minute drive at least.
Yeah, at least. Like, it's just, I don't get it. I don't get it because I was lucky, I guess, enough to, well, I know.
To not be fed fear?
Well... Listen, to be fed fear or whatever it is, because like the same stepfather that I told you about that I grew up, that was great grandmother. He was an asshole, abusive dickhead, but he was also racist as fuck, which is a very stereotypical New Jersey Italian thing, like American Italian. I wouldn't say all Italians because not all Italians are that way. Absolutely not. But you know, there was an N-bomb in my house every day, 14 times a day, and it just, you know, my first best friend was a fucking Peruvian kid straight off the boat. Like, my next door neighbor was Jamaican. Like, what the fuck? How are you gonna like not get along with your people?
Well, that's because people are willing to smile in your face and talk shit about you when they walk in their house. I mean, that's really what it all comes down to.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of people like that. Because look, I'm in the Bronx, but I'm in an Italian neighborhood, and you know, the night that the rioting happened, okay, somebody broke a window in a paint store on the main avenue, and they broke another window on a bank. And with the way that people talk in like the local group, you'd think somebody set the whole avenue on fire.
Yep.
Like they bug, oh, you're not going to come to our neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. It's like, all right, chill the fuck out. And even now, like, dude, tomorrow night, I don't even know what this is going to turn into, but I'm glad I don't live around the corner anymore like I used to. I used to live around the corner from a park, and they're having in this park tomorrow night, they're having a Blue Lives Matter rally.
I mean, it would be a shame if a large fireball hit that park.
Well, I'm just thinking, but look, the local Facebook group is on fire with like, oh, well, we've heard that some of these Black Lives Matter people are coming and they're going to cause problems at our peaceful rally. And I'm just like, what the fuck?
No, that's not how it works.
But like I said, I'm just glad I don't live up the block anymore. I don't want to be anywhere near that motherfucker because they talk about it like these Black Lives Matter people are fucking looters and terrorists. And then other people get on the group and are like, no, they're peaceful and blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, they're not. And it just goes back and forth for like 20 fucking posts. And you just want to bang your head against the wall because there's so much stupid going on.
It's the same here. What Bruce Lee said, it was the greatest thing ever. He's like, all your American heroes all carry guns and don't know how to fight.
Yeah, did you watch the 30 for 30 on Bruce Lee?
Yeah, I love that.
Yo, how good was that?
I still gotta watch
the steroid era one.
Wait, say that again.
The steroid era one with Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire.
No. I'm asking you if you saw B Water, the one on Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
That one is fucking perfect. Gary, if you haven't watched it,
I gotta watch it. I gotta
watch that.
I will not watch the Sammy Sosa one because that'll just piss me off and remind me why I hate baseball now. But I
watched most of that one with Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa, and all I have to say is I can't take the man serious with his bullshit vitiligo nonsense because that doesn't look like vitiligo to me. That just looks like Michael Jackson.
I was just gonna say the Michael Jackson bleach job.
Yeah. Like, get the fuck out of here with that.
Oh, yeah, Sammy used to be dark as hell. I don't know how he got that light.
How? I know how. Money.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
Took a lot of work to knock that down.
I'll be honest, even with that, with the steroid era that everybody got so angry at, there was no rules before that. You have to understand that there was no fucking rules. So watching like Mark McGuire crack a 500 something foot home run legitimately was just like, holy shit, that happens.
Hey, my team in the 80s was Oakland because I was all about the Bash Brothers. Fucking Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco, and then they had a fucking killer team around them. So we're talking Dave Henderson, Ricky Henderson, Carney Langford, like just a cast of absolute killer baseball players. So it was real easy for a guy like me, a young kid. I'm talking Bash Brothers started when I was 10 or 11, and it was just like that's where I focused on, and they became my team. And I have no problem with the fact that both Canseco and McGuire admitted to using steroids, again, because there was no rules against it.
Yeah.
See, my problem with it was that, and even more recently, was that they did it, but then baseball tried to make it look like they were squeaky clean.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was baseball, not them.
Just stop. Oh, I know, but I didn't hate. It just made me turn on that whole era because I was so into baseball before that. But then it was just so blatantly over money, and like them trying to make it look clean, and I was just like, stop, just stop.
Well, it's just, with baseball, it's just like always like that. It's like that with a lot of sports. They want the money, so they take the.
I just hate the fake squeaky clean of all of it. Just like, Len and I have talked a million times about UFC, about how they try to make it look like they're clean. But when the right guy fights, when the right guy fights for the right money, all of a sudden, we didn't get his results yet. And then after the fight's done, all of a sudden, he's suspended because he pissed dirty. It's like, come on. Like, we didn't know Brock Lesnar was pissing hot fire.
I mean, he pissed straight through the cup. That's probably why they didn't get results.
When the cup melts, you know what's going on. Come on, man.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like this fake thing of like, we're a clean operation. It's like, stop. But to me, I've said it a million times. It's like, you know what? Just let everybody go dirty. Let them do whatever the fuck they want. I want to see 600 for a home run. Let's see John Jones sniff a whole 8-ball and then go in with Brock Lesnar juiced out of his mind. John Jones will get his head punched into the third row and he'll still be moving because he hasn't felt it yet. Like, like no rules, no nothing.
Give me Ngannou versus AJ. No weight limit and no limit to roids. Just let them get at it.
That's like deathmatch shit right there, man.
Yeah.
Like, I love UFC, but I grew up in like boxing more. And I had a friend of mine growing up, this kid Derek, that was super into boxing, that taught me a lot about boxing. So I started actually doing boxing for a while, and like I love UFC because there's so many fucking fights. Listen, if I fought one of them people, like even when I was like boxing and I wasn't as fat as I am now, like I still get killed. I'd be on the ground like a turtle, just fucking praying for life, but at the same time, I love the chess game in boxing compared to like the all-out brawl of UFC. Like the stats, the numbers, like the Ali fighters, like the Mike Tyson was great at knocking people out, but like sometimes I would have rather seen the Sugar Ray Leonard fucking fight from back in the day. Like just the dancing and the quality of it, like. But it's not like that now anymore. It's completely different. Boxing is gone from a different level now.
What I'll argue is that styles make fights in MMA in general, regardless of whether it's UFC or not. And this past weekend, there was a fight that was one of those fights that you're talking about, but for the current age. It was Dustin Poirier versus Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's a fighter from New Zealand, and he's on the rise. He's probably a solid top 5 guy, maybe top 10, maybe even top 5. And then Poirier is a former interim champion, and I mean, literally, they just put on a 5-round war, and the second round is probably one of the greatest rounds I've ever seen in UFC. The footwork that the two of them employed, because they both switched stances. So you have two people who have ground skills, wrestling skills, and striking skills, but both of them also have stellar footwork. So it just made for a real knockdown, drag out fight. And I mean, the violence in this fucking fight was just over the top, but at no point. And it went all 5. Wow. It went 5 full rounds, and
it was. I only watched the highlights. It was mostly on the feet, right?
It was like 90% on the feet.
Perfect.
And when it did hit the ground, Poirier was attempting to submit from the bottom the whole time.
Wow, nice.
or get up. Like there was no just lay and pray. There was no just straight humping. Like it was an actual fight. But what I wanted to point out is that Poirier is constantly seen as the underdog. It almost doesn't matter what fight he's in, and he seems to come through anyway. He lost those first 2 rounds. I mean, he straight lost those rounds, and I thought he was going to get finished. But then he found some new gear in 3rd round, and it was just he just basically ran over this kid who everybody thought was going to truck him. And, like, yeah, he lost to Khabib back in September, but he needed hip surgery. So he just got back from hip surgery, went 5 hard rounds. This kid is the truth.
Sounds like it. If you go 5 hard rounds, you go tossing like that, because I tell anybody, like, everybody's used to a street fight. You can always tell when somebody actually knows how to fight compared to what a street fight is.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember the best story I've ever had in my life was I remember I was in 6th grade, and there's this cute little Puerto Rican girl, and there's this cute little black girl that went after each other one day. And I'm telling you, this cute little Puerto Rican girl, I guess her dad or somebody taught her something, because all of a sudden it was just like she came, the black girl swung, and she just went into stance, and she went, ha ha, ha 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 ha, and just dropped the kid. And I was just like, oh Lord, I was like, what just happened? It's like you didn't even know what the fuck happened, because when you see somebody with skills versus somebody with no skills, it's just it's a whole game.
It's a whole new world. Yeah. I mean, obviously, we know about the haymaker. And the haymaker, it can change the game regardless of who has the skills and who doesn't. It's all about the timing. But 9 times, 10 times out of 10, the person with the skills is going to win that fight.
Oh, yeah. Guy with the short game. The first thing I remember ever being taught about boxing is they made you lean heads, and you sit in there and you just kind of trade off shots and figure out how to get around when you're literally on each other.
I mean, we're all used to the club punch, which is basically you're throwing a baseball. But but if anybody who is throwing those punches was met by somebody that knows how to throw a straight fucking punch, in the time that it takes them to wind up to throw that big club punch, they're getting knocked out.
Yep, for sure.
Just a nice shotgun right down the middle. Bow, sleeping. Because they just would be caught off guard. But
I still remember being in Philly, a friend of mine was in a bar, and he looked at this dude, and they had word and shit like that. And I saw the kid, and he turned left. And he had cauliflower ear, and I tapped my boy. I was like, don't fuck with him.
Nope.
I was like, don't fuck with that dude.
Don't do it.
I was like, I ain't helping your ass. You're going to get killed, and I'm going to let it happen because I ain't getting killed.
He'll wrestle your whole fucking leg off.
Exactly. You look at dudes like that, and he's like, "I'll fuck him up." I was like, "You got 2 shots maybe the whole time." And I was like, "You better pray that they work."
Yeah, I mean, you better let go of a howitzer to fucking knock him straight out.
Yep.
Because otherwise, he's taking you down, and you're going to pay, and you're going to pay dearly over and over and over again. One of the best things that happens repeatedly is that me and Gary send food fight videos back and forth, or just street fight videos. And do you get into any of those? Do you see them on Facebook? Just like random
2 women
videos.
fighting in McDonald's or some shit, or
Oh yeah. The best one was the one in Hawaii, I think it was. This huge woman came out in the back of McDonald's, grabbed this girl by back of shirt, and just went ha.
I saw that one. That was good.
Where she just got folded over the table.
Yeah,
you're talking about where she just got folded in half over the table.
Yes.
I don't understand where your mentality comes from that you think you're going to beat somebody like that. Because here's the real deal of anything. I remember when I was bouncing in Philadelphia, some dude and his boy got into a fight. And you know how that always goes. It spreads like wildfire. One of my bouncers is fighting one of them. Guy looks at me, and when I say guy looks at me, I mean he looks like Mark Henry at 6'10", and he's looking down at me. You know I'm not small then, so I'm looking at this dude, and I'm like, he's like, you fucking let's go, and I was just like, nah, dude, I'll stab you. And he looks at me, he's like, what? And I was like, I'll stab you. I was like, if I miss or you grab hold of me, it's this. I'm going to die.
Over and over again.
And this dude looks at me, he's like, and like, it was one of the funniest stories I could ever tell you because the guy walked away, but I was just like, what am I going to do? I can't fight you. It's like, it's not going to happen. And I've seen this happen so many times where dude's like the smallest guy ever. I don't care how skilled you are, unless you wrap him up, break his ankle and his knee, which, you know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighters can actually do that being smaller. But
there's a certain point where even if you're smaller and that dude, like, if that dude is 6'10", I don't care if you are 5'5" and have the best wrestling pedigree and a jiu-jitsu black belt. That 6'10" dude is whooping your ass because as soon as you grab that leg, he's just going to start wailing on your face. And all your plans change when you get punched in the mouth, as Mike Tyson says.
Yep. Exactly. As soon as you get popped in the mouth, your whole game changes. You're just like, oh, because I remember literally the first thing in boxing they do is they hit your ass over and over again until you're fucking used to it and you don't flinch. Yep. Because that's what happens.
So I took jiu-jitsu for about 18 months at Ricardo Almeida's in Hamilton, and my first teacher was on The Ultimate Fighter, and the first day he just walks up to me and throws me on the ground, and I'm like, oh shit, and I just bounce, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm in a world of trouble just right off the bat. And like, it was months and months and months of pure torture. But now, anytime somebody puts their hand on me, my first reaction is to grab their arm and basically collar tie right in, because they just build the skill into your mind.
Yeah, basically it's over and over and over again.
It's like, I'm not ever out looking for a fight. That's not my thing. But I took jiu-jitsu to learn how to control my body and understand how other people's bodies work. And if I ever end up in a situation where I have to defend myself, I feel like I have enough skills to get out of it without having to incur too much damage. Obviously, if somebody just walks up and punches you in the mouth, there's not much to worry about. But in most situations, there's usually a lot of jawing and you know, most people will run at you with one punch, and when they miss, then they end up grappling with you, and that's when you're in trouble. Because, you know, I know various techniques that I have not forgotten because I practice them. I still practice them to this day, but, you know, I'm not like physically out training jiu-jitsu anymore, but it's a good skill to have, and if you have children, it's a good place to put them.
Plan on. Yeah, that's what I plan on doing.
So listeners, if you have children, put your children in jiu-jitsu class. It's not something where you're going to learn to absolutely like punch somebody in the face and do that. It's about body control and personal protection.
So, yeah, but I remember City Law was just my uncle. I remember this fucking guy from fucking Worcester, Massachusetts, just literally goes to me one day. He's like, if you ever get in a fight with somebody, beat them up until they're fucking not moving.
I mean, it's a good rule.
That is a good strategy.
And he's like, beat them up that way. He's like, next time they see you, they run away. And I'm just like, all right.
Yo, did you either of you two see the video of the big ass black dude? You sent it to me, maybe, or maybe I sent it to you, Gary, of the dudes who he washed 3 dudes in the middle of the street.
Oh yeah.
The dude washed 100%, like cleaners, laundromat, everywhere, just full on washed.
You're talking about that, or are you talking about the chick?
No, I'm talking about
you the other day, because the chick the other day was with the Hulk voiceover was fucking great.
No, that one was funny. I'm just talking about the video of the dude who was walking out of the bar, and like the patrons had dropped the M-bomb on him.
Oh, yeah.
He just literally washed all 3 of them in a row. Like, that
was a bad idea.
I saw that dude. I'm like, yo, that's probably not the dude. Why did you do that?
Yeah.
Like,
do I hear the best story about shit like that?
Like, did you not look at him and go, maybe this is a bad idea? He's just gonna let me say this to him, and nothing's gonna happen to me. Everything will be fine. No, you literally all three of them sleeping in the street. I thought one of them might be dead.
Well, I've seen that in real life in high school. It was one of the funniest but most fucked up moments that I remember. Some kid, my boy Tyree, he's walking down the hallway, and I remember some dude got into shit with him as normal, and he turns around and he drops that bomb. Kid just turns around and walks away like nothing happened.
Ugh.
First mistake. Kid Tyree walks up him with like not even running, just purposeful walk, goes right behind him, puts the arm up here, and just whacks. But where he hits him was between the spine, the base of his skull, and his neck.
Oh shit!
He paralyzed his kid for 3 months. And basically beat him to a bloody pulp on the ground. And I was just like, and we literally sat there and we laughed.
I mean,
we laughed.
That's where we get into this argument of, well, I got free speech. I can say what I want. And
you have free speech, but there's also consequence.
You can say, you can flap them jaws all you want, but as soon as you cross that line, there is most likely going to be someone to check you. The problem is enough people haven't been checked in their lives. I don't talk about shit that's out of line from my pay grade because I'm not trying to get checked. Like, I'm not trying to write checks for anything that I can't cash. So if you see me talking shit on something, that means I've done the risk assessment to know that I have no risk here. So, I'm not out talking wild on shit I don't know about.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like you got to sit there and think, like, what made you think that was a good idea to drop that M-bomb right there?
Wow.
And are you regretting it as your body is folded in half over a fence? As your chest is being pounded on like King Kong.
When your entire underwear are full of shit. Like,
exactly. You fucking shit yourself. Like, you are storing on the ground. You have made a dirt stain in your ass, like your fucking pants. Like, you are like on the ground going, and something is reeking. Like, it's just.
Oh man! Like, where did you go wrong in life, buddy?
It's like, but that's also, they've seen people get away with it, so they tempt the devil.
That's the real problem. Because Len, how many times have we said that about half of these videos? It's like, obviously nobody ever beat the shit out of them before.
Well, it's so Chris, you know my boy Yan from Philly. I don't know, Muttley, if you've met Brian Yan, but anytime we would get in a fight randomly, his first thing to yell out is, "This ain't the movies, bitch." And he just starts being, he's basically like, you think you're going to just get away with shit, and not today. Not today.
Not today, yeah. And out of Brian, too, like, you wouldn't expect it, because that dude, like, looks like he's smiling all the time, innocent looking motherfucker.
I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm going to tell his fucking secret. His grandfather taught him Kung Fu.
Oh shit.
His grandfather is his parents are straight off the boat from China. He's first generation here, and Brian Yan pretends to not know how to fight, but it's bullshit. It is all bullshit. And he's also extremely strong. Like, we used to go lift together, and he would embarrass me, and I'm in there pushing, I don't know, 275, and I'm not even like necessarily struggling, but I'm pushing. And he's like, put another 45 on each side. I think I can do this. And he just lay down. I'm like, you need a spot? No. And just bang it out. I mean, he does have short arms, and short arms makes it a lot easier because I got these fucking long ass arms that make it hard to do bench. But regardless, and then we'd go and then we'd like run laps, and he would just outrun me, outlift me. And I'm like, you don't look like anything, but it's that he's really in better condition than you think he is because he hides it. And it's that drunken master bullshit that he does because he makes you think that he doesn't have any skills, and then all of a sudden you're sleeping.
All of a sudden, you're just like, why do I taste dirt?
Yeah.
Did I ever
tell Chris? Did I ever tell you the about the night that we had to retrieve a computer? Gary, did I tell you this story?
I don't think so.
So
doesn't sound familiar.
So I've been recording for years, and I had a recording studio in Patterson, and we shared the studio with another
the
band.
place in Patterson.
Yeah. And we worked it out so that the band that was in with us, we asked them to move to the space below us so that we could record at any time. And it was just like we had worked it out with the owners, and we got them keys and this, that, and the other thing. And so they begrudgingly moved, and then they moved out. And then all of a sudden somebody broke in to our space, had a party, stole guitars, stole amps, stole my computer for recording. So I figured out like where he was located, and we may have made a little visit to his location and staked out the place and waited for him and whoever else he would be with to come out. So it's me, Brian Yan, Jay, and Big Steve from Philadelphia. Do you know Steve? He's literally 6'5" and 350 pounds. I mean, he literally looks like Fat Thor. Anyway, so we go, and these kids come out of the apartment, and I'm like, yo, you Rob? And he's like, yeah, what's up? And we all jump out the car.
Nice.
Jay, rest in peace, Jay, hits this kid so hard that the neighbors 3 doors up are like, oh, shit. And then he goes, I shit my pants. He legitimately shit his pants from getting folded in half from a punch to the face. And then he got kicked. And, like, I mean, let's just say that we got all our stuff back. We had to take him to get it. Like, we put him in the car with us and went and got our stuff back.
Nice.
So we walk in, and I walk into this dude's house. Well, not his house, but his dad's house, because that's where we were storing the stuff. Walk into the house, and there are dudes in the kitchen playing cards with guns on the table. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, what did I get myself into? We just beat this kid's ass, and we're bringing him into his dad's house. And his dad is like, why are these people here? And he's like, you know that stuff that I'm storing here? And he starts beating his son's ass. I told you to stop bringing stolen stuff here. And like, you need to give these people their stuff back and stop fucking around like this.
Oh, wow.
So I was just like, look, I don't want any trouble. I just want my stuff back. And he was like, yeah, you shouldn't even have to be here. Show him to his stuff. And he hands me stuff. We got extra guitars.
I was going to say, did you get other shit?
He gave us so much stuff we couldn't fit it all in the car.
Shit, that's amazing. Oh, it's so good.
We leave and we drive the wrong way. And as we figure out we're going the wrong way, we turn around and come back. And as we're going by, him and his friend are walking down the street back to his apartment because we didn't give him a ride back. And we honk, and he just waves at us. And I'm like, you are such a bitch, boy.
Oh, shit.
And this is before cell phones. Like, not necessarily before cell phones, but before cell phones had cameras on them.
Yeah,
so just to tie this all back together, you can't do this kind of shit now.
Oh, you can't do this.
Fucking cameras, and you would not get away with it.
No, half these fucking kids rat themselves out.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Because they think it's cool to post it on fucking Instagram or some shit, and it's like, okay, now we'll find you.
Yep.
I remember last show I was at, God, that's probably too far to admit, but I remember some kids got into some scrap over some beef, and immediately some kid just...
don't do that.
I literally turned around, Len, and I went, wah! And I smacked it like fucking across the room. And he's just like, what the fuck, bro? I was like, stop being a snitch.
Exactly. Like, you will never catch me pulling my camera out in that type of situation. Yeah. Now, if it's just some negative Nancy at the fucking grocery store... Yeah, sure, pull your camera out. But if you're all willfully at a hardcore show, or a punk show or a hip hop show, put the cameras away. Stop fooling around. If there's a fight, let the fight be, and just leave it alone, because you don't need that kind of attention. None of us need that kind of attention brought here, and you don't want to intentionally or even accidentally get people in trouble for some shit that didn't need to get them in trouble.
Yeah, you don't need some snitching going on. Fuck that.
Yeah, everybody's playing point guard. They point and shoot at everything.
I mean, I appreciate the fact that the lady took the video of the cop kneeling on George Floyd, but for all those people out on the street that were standing around too, like, for how many people were out on the street, obviously nobody wants to get shot and be the person that gets killed. But I don't understand how we have so many fucking human beings here and there are so few cops and they're not scared of us. That's what needs to happen, is they need to be scared of us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the problem is, just like you were saying, keep people in check. We haven't checked cops in a very long time. We
haven't checked them hard enough.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
Because you got dumb motherfuckers going, this shit got a shine on it. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Fucking piece of shit.
And, you know, again, I'm not one to promote violence. I don't think that violence is always necessarily the answer. But in this case, I don't have... I don't see any other viable solution than return fire.
Exactly.
I'm not saying I'm going to go out and do it, and I'm not saying that anybody should go out and do it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not even condoning it, but I don't understand how we're going to get any justice if there is no retribution.
Yeah, I mean, I've said, you know, I'm not a fan, like, of the looting and stuff like that, but if you ask me, well, what's the alternative, then I'm kind of stuck. Like, I don't really know. We tried everything else. Like, I understand that people are pissed off, and, you know, as I said when we talked about it before on the podcast, if you fucked with me for that long, of course I'd be pissed off. But
you fuck with me for 20 minutes, I'm going to be pissed off.
But that's what I mean. But, if you want to ask me about an alternative, I just don't. What alternative at this point? Like, there's just so many things have been tried and nobody really listens. So what are you going to do except set the fucking place on fire?
When they hit the police station in Minnesota, I said to myself, that was the smart place to go.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what they need. That's what is needed, is that we need to stop worrying about fucking up businesses unless they're, you know, some of these racist businesses that are, I don't know if either of you have seen recently, but there's some ice cream shop in I guess it's in Albany, or I don't know, maybe it's in Connecticut, Bumpy's, and he's literally got white power tattooed on his fucking neck. Yo, go there. So, go burn that place the fuck down.
Yeah, exactly.
Please, go fuck him up. But everybody else, if you're not sure, leave him alone. Go to the fucking state house. Burn the state house down. Go to the fucking to the fucking police stations and burn them down. Like, exactly. Hit them where it actually hit them where it actually hurts, and not just local neighborhoods. Like, I was talking about Trenton only being a small riot, and there was one car burned and people were losing their mind. I'm like, it's one car. I mean, you probably shouldn't have burnt it, but like, I'm not going to freak out over one car getting burnt. Like, maybe two businesses had their window knocked out. Like, it wasn't like the whole city was on fire. But if they had gone 3 blocks over, they would have been at the fucking state house, and they could have fucked that thing up, and I would have been like, yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to say about that? Do it.
It's being organized, but there's also people out there with 2 or 3 different separate points of thought. when they go out there. I mean, like I've been in a protest. You know, there's the protest mentality where you're actually protesting something.
Yeah, I mean, there's always three actors in. Well, there's probably even more than three, but three main actors. Or let's just say from the Black Lives Matter side or the positive movement side. Yeah. There's the protesters, then there's the rioters, and then you have the opportunists, which are your looters.
Right.
And they are not necessarily connected, but they're working at the same time.
Yeah, and that's when it gets all lumped together. That's the stupidity of it all, because it's really not the same thing whatsoever. But I can't trust cops either. Like, I'm not going to lie. It may have looked extreme, but I showed up to a protest with fucking mask, goggles, arm protection. Like, I'm not going to fucking go there and not pretend that shit might not go south.
You have to at this point.
Yeah.
Because shit has been proven that shit can pop off at any time.
Yeah, for no reason besides their own ego and pride.
And we've all seen at this point, you know, like we were talking before about, you know, supposedly peaceful protests. We've all seen that go south real quick. And just like what we were talking about with Sonny, like, you know, they did the same kind of thing in the Bronx too, where they just corralled these people into one area, and then all of a sudden, oh, hey, look, it's curfew time. And then just start arresting everybody and fucking fighting with everybody. Yeah. And it's like, you know, what the fuck?
At that point, I don't know what I would do. Because if you back me into a corner, I'm not going to not go down swinging. You're not going to just lock me in handcuffs for no apparent reason if you're going to lock me in a corner and come at me. And take that as white privilege or what it may be, because I know other people will fear of getting shot or worse, but I'm going to try to plow through as many as you can. At that point, that's my mentality, and I'm going to take a few of you out. I'm not saying kill, but I'm just saying, like, if we have to defend ourselves, we have to defend ourselves.
Well, that's my other issue is you see these videos of the cops beating on people and then complaining that they're not complying or that they're resisting arrest. The human element of being attacked is to resist the attack in whatever way, whether it's fighting back or defending yourself, curling up in a ball, etc. So why don't you just stop beating on the people?
Yeah.
Like, is that hard of a like, it's such a hard concept for them.
I mean, I hate to say it, but it kind of is, because they're fighting to keep doing it.
Yeah,
it's like all the talk about police reform and stuff like that, and like, you know what? Like, I think police reform is the right way to go, but you would think that they were trying to completely ruin these guys. Yeah. It's like, you know what? The system is flawed. Everybody's on board that the system is flawed and needs to change,
except for them. Everybody but them.
But they're fighting it, and they're still trying to portray themselves as victims and shit. And it's like, you know, read the room, dude. Like, you're trying to make yourself out to be the victim. Like, nobody's really with that right now.
Yeah, not by any stretch of the means.
And listen, I'm not one of those people. We've talked about it before. I'm not one of those people that, like, every cop is bad. I've had friends who were cops. I have friends who were retired cops. I think the system is flawed at the root. We talked about, you know, and listen, I'm just a regular dude. What the fuck do I know? But I see so many things that are just flaws in the training from the jump that need to change. And that's where the real problem is. But these guys, it's like, you would think they were trying to put them out there with a dress on. like chill the fuck out, dude. Like, they're fighting tooth and nail to keep doing things the way they're doing them, which is not working.
No, I'm glad though. Just fucking glad that fucking people are seeing how racist and bad fucking cops are. Like, Philly's always been like that city that's so underliningly like fucking terrible. And I love Philadelphia. That's the whole thing. I have a love-hate relationship with it. But, like, look at those fucking idiots in South Philadelphia, Fishtown and shit like that. I'm going to walk around with bats and shit. Like, get the fuck out of here. What are you defending? A pedophile fucking, like, rapist? Woo. A nice statue. Teach your daughter that, too. That's what I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole statue thing. It's like, why do we have statues of losers in the first place?
Yeah, exactly.
But like once again, just like what we said about the way some people are defending, police actions. It's like these people are going full on defending these fucking statues. It's like you're really that tied to a loser?
But for me, even for a long, long time, I won't even so people are like, I've been in DC and they're like, hey, let's go to Washington Monument. Let's go to the Lincoln Monument. I'm like, fuck both those places. And I've been that guy for a long time because both of those people, while, Washington is our first president, etc., and, Lincoln, quote unquote, freed the slaves, they're both fucking racist people too. And like, at 5 or 6, at 7, going to history class and being indoctrinated with the information, I didn't know any better, so I thought that these were good people. And as I got into my teen years and did my own research to understand exactly who they were, I've always been on, since then, team fuck that. And I don't understand how we have all these monuments to people who are complete trash human beings. Like, sure, they may have done some good stuff, but the good shit that they did not outweigh the horrible shit.
Bad. Mm-hmm.
And why are we celebrating it? We have a mountain that they carved 4 fucking faces in of 4 fucking assholes.
Yeah, and that was on Native American land. That was considered a sacred mountain.
Exactly.
And they did it basically
they were like,
put their own
fuck
plates
you.
into
That's our mountain now. Much like it was done with all of the land that existed here in the first place.
Yeah.
It's just fucking painful. And the worst part is that people refuse to really dig in and understand the true history of what has occurred here. They only believe the small bits that they've been spoon-fed.
Yeah, I was lucky. That was actually something through my uncle and having different friends of all different backgrounds. You learn these things because as a white kid, like your mom doesn't. Yeah,
you would have no reason now.
And it's great because certain things, like take for example, like Rage Against the Machine. When I was a kid and I heard that shit, I was just like, I need to read up what the fuck he's talking about. Mm-hmm. Then I read up on from everything from Chavez to Mumia to everything in between. And you separate what you believe and what you take, and then you do your own thing. And that's how I think everybody should go about shit. But if you're taken from a white, lower suburban kid, you weren't taught those things. You weren't taught that your main focus was white people created everything. They created everything from the fucking start. And then you find out that's not true at all. At all. And you find out that they teach you about the Greek civilization and astronomy, mathematics, philosophy, but they don't teach you about the 96.4 million, Mayan and Incan that already had astronomy, philosophy, waterways, plumbing, it was the same thing, just on different sides of the world, but they don't want to teach you about that because we discovered here. we did.
I mean, the thing that's always going to end up happening, and it's a weird line to look at it this way, but I kind of look at some things this way, is that there's so much racism built into so much of this country.
Oh, yeah.
That we're never going to be able to eliminate all of it. I was reading articles recently talking about parts of Long Island, and there's parts of the Bronx that are like this too. They built the Bronx River, the Cross Bronx Expressway. Robert Moses was a known racist, and he was a city planner, and when they built the Cross Bronx Expressway, they built it a certain way to cut through a bunch of poor neighborhoods and displace all of those people, and that was where a lot of the projects came from, because it's like, well, we have to put these people somewhere if we're going to move them to build our highway. And the same kind of shit happened on Long Island too, but like, you know, some of it is just so heavily involved that we're never going to be able to completely undo it. So we got to recognize it and then just kind of build new history and go with it, because like, yeah, you know, we're tearing down statues and stuff like that, but a statue is a statue, like
statue.
And
your history books is really where it needs to change.
That's
you change history books, you'll change a lot of people's opinions on other people.
And just teaching, you know, besides the history books, just, you know, people as parents, as aunts and uncles, as family, we've got to teach our kids that shit too. And that'll be the big change, because, you know, we're so far gone, we're never going to be able to completely undo everything.
Yeah, it's
as much as we might want to. We can't tear down every fucking statue. We can't rename every airport. Yeah. And even then, listen, no matter what we do, sooner or later some shit's gonna come up. You know, so that somebody's really a closet asshole. It happens in music all the time. How many times do we find it? Happens everywhere. Look, it just happened in pro wrestling. How many of these people that were looked up to as trainers and shit like that suddenly were exposed for all kinds of abuse and shit? You know, but we just have to move on and build new shit and rethink how we teach people, and that's where the big change is going to be.
Right. I would 100% agree with that.
Yeah, we can tear down 100,000 statues, but tearing down the statues ain't shit. It's just like what I said about Trump. It's like, yeah, you can get rid of Trump, but the problem is not Trump. The problem is not Trump. The problem is the assholes standing behind him that are screaming like, yeah, Kung Flu. And you know, these are the ones that are enabling this shit.
Okay. So that takes me to where I think I want to wrap this up with is, did you guys happen to see the Sacha Baron Cohen trolling of that that thing on the internet where he went to the right wing rally? Okay, so he went to a right wing rally dressed up as a musician and started singing songs like about Fauci and Obama creating the Kung Flu.
It was basically the 2020 version of throw the Jew down the well.
Yes, exactly. Jesus. Exactly the same thing. But
exactly what it was.
Oh my god. Yeah.
But Chris, I posted it on Facebook. So if you get a chance, go back and look. But I called him the ultimate #1 troll of all time, and you know why? Because he snuck out of there after they kind of figured out what was up. He got out in an ambulance, like they just took him out in an ambulance. He circles back in a new outfit and starts interviewing people about what happened. Like, how good do you have to be at trolling to be able to get away with double trolling the exact same people in the same location?
Yo, the dude's got balls, because some of those people would have whipped his ass.
Would have been bad news.
He could have gotten shot up in that bitch.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be crying when his footage comes out, wherever it's gonna be. I think he's got a show called like "This Is America" or some shit like that.
Yeah, some shit, yeah.
And I guarantee you that's what this is for. And I am dying to see the real footage.
Yeah, that was the same one where he was doing the other interviews, right?
Yeah.
It was on a year or so ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing ass shit. It's embarrassing ass shit. Like, it's terrible that you could do that and people are just like, yeah! And it's just like,
oh no, they were singing along and everything. Just wait, it's like 8 minutes long. The video is 8 minutes long of just insanity. And then there's pictures, as I said, of him coming back in a whole new outfit and a whole new like facial getup, and just asking questions about what do you think went wrong here?
Yeah, question. You know what's funny? You remember you posted it, I saw it the other day, the whole ice cream truck song?
Yep.
While we're at that?
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know if you ever knew this, but I remember my uncle telling me, my Uncle Henry, it's true. I always thought it was crazy, but when I was a kid and I went to my neighborhood in Perth Amboy and Woodbridge, they played that song over the ice cream thing. When I went to Plainfield, they didn't play that song. And I found out that they actually said, you will not serve any shit around here with that fucking song being played in the background. And they all literally stood up to all the trucks. And most of the trucks, actually, believe it or not, were usually minority owners. So they're just like, oh, shit, really? And they changed the whole fucking thing around in the neighborhood.
Yep. The ice cream truck that comes through my neighborhood still plays the song, so I do not buy from him. But he probably doesn't know. Like, most people don't know.
No.
So it's just my own personal boycott, and I'm fine with it because I got ice cream in the freezer. It'll be good.
They're ice cream anyway.
Well, listen, we were talking about that with Pat, and Pat had no idea.
Yeah. And then he went and read up on it, and he was texting me about being shocked on just how ridiculous that was.
But that's what I was saying about educating. It's like there's so many people. There's so many little things, like what he was talking about with the monkey wrench thing, or what we were talking about with Tulsa. Like, I didn't know about the Tulsa thing until Watchmen.
Right.
And I was like, holy shit, this is a real thing?
Yeah, but
how does nobody know about this?
The Tulsa one is like the Tulsa moment is like the culmination of all of it. So it really starts, if you want to dig back, look up Red Summer. And that starts in like it starts in 1919. And basically it was an entire summer of just blood in the streets, white riots against black people, and it carried through all that summer of 1919, and then it was just like a continual thing that happened through 1920, and then like the big deal was the Tulsa one in 1921. Yep. And then it didn't necessarily stop, but it never got as bad as that moment. So, there's so much information available these days, and it's super easy to get to if you actually care to look at it. But most people are only interested. Yep, they're only interested in watching Real Housewives of whatever fucking town, and watching ridiculousness, and they're not actually interested in understanding anything about what the fuck happens around them.
But this is what I mean. Like, when it comes to education, it's like kids aren't learning about Juneteenth. They aren't learning about this shit. They aren't learning. I mean, let's take it in other directions. With other, with other types of people. They're not learning about Stonewall. They're not learning about any of the. They're not learning about. Because I know, we learned about World War II, but they didn't teach us about Japanese camps in the United States.
Yeah, for a brief 2 seconds they talk about it. Like, literally, I remember it was 2 seconds.
They gloss it hard. Yeah.
So it's all, it's very selective how they do it all. Yeah. They
teach you what they want you to know, not actual history.
Yeah.
But again, that comes down to everything, because I feel like what I learned as a kid is not what kids are learning now, and they're just
Nope.
teaching kids to pass tests now instead of actual knowledge. But even the knowledge they were giving me wasn't really very good at that time either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a
Huge
whole
personal
other
experience that was shared.
I mean, we could go on and on about that too, because that's a whole other thing. Because the school system itself is flawed in that direction when it comes to what kids are learning and what the purpose of it is, whether it's just to pass a test or what.
Yep.
That's a whole other problem that we could go on about
Forever.
Literally
forever.
Yeah. But just at the root, just talking about it, it's like. But that's where it comes in again, where it's not just about what you learn in school. It's like, as responsible people, as family members, as friends, it's like, and especially people who have kids, as parents, you got to teach your kids more than what they're learning in school.
Yep.
But
the other thing I got to say is that people need to be able to break down the concern or fear of offending somebody about asking for information around the things that they just don't understand. You gotta stop being worried about that shit. Like, I would much rather somebody ask me, "Hey, can you tell me something about this, because I'm completely ignorant to the situation and I just want to know." Like, I would never take offense to that. As at least I wouldn't. I mean, it's not my job to educate every single fucking person, but if you're my friend and you ask me something, it is my responsibility to help my friends.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to answer somebody in the middle of the fucking grocery store that I don't know. But if one of you two asked me a question, I would have no problem outlining the issues that I have with it and explaining what sucks about it. Like, there's no reason that people, but I guess that comes down to a lot of people don't have any friends outside of their own
race.
this zone.
Mm-hmm.
You need a friend.
You always need a friend. Dave Chappelle said you need a friend. He always needed a white friend around to help him in situations.
Yep.
And they need him too. And I think it would be better off across the board if we all had friends that were from some other location in life.
Yeah. It helps. And plus, it makes good food.
Oh,
you don't want to eat white food. White food's boring as fuck. Let's be real honest about that.
I'm trying to think, but is Italian food white food? Because, I mean...
They're not white. They're Italian. They're European. They're technically different. They're technically actually part African. They won't admit that sometimes.
Well, I already went over that in a previous episode. We don't have to redredge that one.
They don't put part Greek too, because the Greeks mix up with them all the time. So
they don't put raisins in the potato salad. So
oh fuck, man.
Thank God.
Yeah, but okay. Shepherd's pie is fucking tight.
Oh yeah, if you make it right, absolutely. But
no, well, I'm just saying.
Not one white dish out of a million failed, burnt, fucking boiled potato messes.
I'm just saying that the concept of shepherd's pie is pretty fucking tight.
But they're also Irish. They're not even well. They're white. Like I'm Irish, but like they're not from here white. I'm talking about from
just
here, United States white.
So wait. What's a good American? What is it? What is one?
Technically, the only American food that exists is barbecue, and that's not even white American food. That is black American food or Spanish American food from the original people that taught it.
What about the hamburger? Is that like
that's
the way we make it here? The way that we make German American?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Germans were one of the first people
Hamburg
to basically take the tougher cuts of meat and just grind them up or chop them down into nothing to make them paletable and easy to eat.
Right. I mean, because I will fuck a hamburger up. I could probably fuck one up right now.
White people food is boring. Fuck that shit. I want some pernil. I want some fucking homemade raviolis. I want some
fucking delicious goddamn jambalaya. I want it all, man.
Okay, let me just say, and I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna end this whole episode on this. All I want is some ropa vieja. That's all I need.
You make it some ropa vieja?
No, I'll make it myself, but that's all I want right now. That's what I want right now.
Black beans, rice, and some ropa vieja. I mean, that works. Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like fart juice, but yes, exactly.
Give me some tostones with that shit. Oh,
give it to me. I'm ready.
Oh.
I'm ready.
We're just gonna call this episode the Hungry episode.
Yeah, the fat guy episode.
Fat guy episode.
We'll continue culinary episodes down the line at restaurants and shove face and go in comas.
Chris.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. Is there anything you want to shout out about upcoming projects or anything, or you want to hit us with a tag?
Nah, just, check out Franklin, check out Bake Sale, check out Illigan's Island, the record label, check out my boy Maximil, he's producing beats, and,
What's that Bandcamp site?
It's Bake Sale 420 at bandcamp.com. Excuse me.
Nice.
Check it out there. My own solo stuff will be out within the next 3 to 4 months, and there'll be a ton of projects following within the next year. There's going to be rapid fire releases. So we're going to be putting to work. Other than that, I appreciate it, gentlemen. It's been nothing but great combo.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, my man. And I am Len Carmichael from Landmine Studios. And
I am Gary Muttley. The upgradepodcast.net. We are up on a bunch of your favorite podcast services. We're up on Apple Podcasts. We're up on Spotify, Stitcher, and Buzzsprout. And we are also available now on YouTube and SoundCloud. Go to the upgradepodcast.net and you can find links for all of that fun stuff, plus email, plus our social media pages if you want to reach out to us, tell us we suck, tell us what kind of food you don't like.
Or tell us you love us. I mean, tell us anything.
Positive vibes.
Tell us something. But reach out to us. One of these days we'll be doing an episode with just questions, or we might just have a segment talking about questions before we get into the good stuff. So hit us up, and thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys soon. Later.